has no extra base hits, and he has not exactly squared the ball up on Matt Harvey. Escobar is at third base hitting cleanup. Clint Robinson's got to play first base because Ryan Zimmerman, their hottest hitter, is out with a sore oblique. That's potentially a big thing for them, not just tonight, but going forward. Ian Desmond at short, Wilson Ramos, the catcher. He had the grand slam yesterday in a losing effort. Michael Taylor in center, Jordan Zimmerman pitches and bats number 9. Yesterday, Howie, it was really kind of the lost socks in the back of the drawer that saved the game yesterday. The relief trio of Eric Goodell, Dario Alvarez, and Hansel Robles combined to retire all 10 batters they faced, and that got it to Jeurys Familia for the 9th. But, boy, what an effort. The bullpen guys that we never talk about stepped up huge yesterday.
Well, Robles was especially big because even though Terry Collins did get Jeurys Familia up in the 8th inning, he was hoping that he would not have to use Familia in the 8th on a night when Tyler Clippard was not available or an afternoon. And as it turned out, Robles was perfect through 2. Familia worked the 9th. Now Clippard and Familia both ready for this one. So Curtis Granderson in to lead off. Jordan Zimmerman, the right-hander, into the windup. The first pitch of the game is a fastball high for ball 1. Granderson 2 for 3 yesterday, batting .259, 23 homers, 60 RBIs, and the 1-0 pulled foul down the first base line, 1-1. Mets are wearing the alternate blue tops tonight, and the Nationals in their traditional home whites trimmed in red. Granderson 5 out of 23, including a homer against Zimmerman, and the 1-1 fastball is in tight on him, ball 2. Zimmerman's a fast worker who will throw a lot of ground balls. He's got a heavy sinker and is, like several other Nationals, eligible for free agency after the year. The 2-1 sails high, 3 balls and 1 strike. And Zimmerman uncharacteristically behind in the count here. He walks very few hitters, only 1.7 on average over 9 innings. That's 6th best in the league. 3-1 pitch, hit foul off to the left behind third into the lower level seats. So a full count on Granderson with Cespedes and Murphy to follow here in the top of the first. Outfield for the Nationals is straight away. The third baseman Escobar will now drop back, and the payoff pitch is in there. Strike 3 called. He went to a breaking ball on 3-2. So Granderson down on strikes, 1 man away, and it'll bring up Yoenis Cespedes. Mets fans, whether you're on the way to the ballpark or just driving around listening to the game, we want you to be with us for all the excitement, so don't text, don't call, just drive. A reminder from the New Jersey Motor Vehicle Commission, put your phone to bed and visit justdrive.com. So here is Cespedes, who made news today even before he stepped into the batter's box. The language in his contract has been changed on agreement between MLB and the PA. First pitch to him is a fastball in for a call, strike nothing and 1. And whereas in the original language, Cespedes could not re-sign with the New York Mets after a 5-day period of exclusivity, the 0-1 rides high, 1 ball and 1 strike, at least not until May the 15th of next year, which was certainly unrealistic because he's going to sign somewhere over the winter. Well, by mutual agreement, they have struck that language. The 1-1 fastball line foul down the right field line, and the count 1 ball and 2 strikes to Cespedes. So what that means now is that he becomes a free agent essentially the way any other free agent does, meaning the Mets have all winter, theoretically, to negotiate with Cespedes. Now, they would not receive draft pick compensation if he leaves. 1-2 pitch, fastball in on the hands, fouled straight back. But at least it takes that 5-day window of pressure away. And it was just unrealistic to think that the Mets would sign Cespedes, or more to the point, that Cespedes would want to sign before he gives everybody an opportunity. And by engaging the Mets and bringing a big market team into the conversation, it only helps drive the price up. Everybody's well aware of that. But the Mets now have a better chance than they did 24 hours ago. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Way inside near his legs, 2 balls and 2 strikes. And what a day he had yesterday, going 3 for 5 with a home run. He's hit in 6 straight games, homered in 5 of the 6. And the 2-2 pitch. Slider is low. So Zimmerman, uncharacteristically, running back-to-back full counts here. First on Granderson, who struck out looking, and now on Cespedes with Daniel Murphy on deck. Outfield a step towards right. Here's the payoff pitch. Slider popped in the air down the right field line. It's slicing foul and will go out of play. Umpires lineup brought to you by Lincoln Technical Institute, always offering the best lineup of career choices. Get started today at lincolnedu.com. The crew chief, Dana DeMuth, has the plate. Mike Estabrook at first. Ed Hickox at second. Paul Nart is the umpire at third. 3-2 to Cespedes. Zimmerman delivers. Swinging a broken back grounder up the middle. Snagged on one hop by Desmond. Wheels and throws in time to get Cespedes. 2 men away. Nice play by Ian Desmond, who struggled so terribly at the beginning of the year, particularly in the defensive department, never mind the fact he didn't hit. Well, his bat has come alive in the last month and a half, and he's only made 3 errors since the All-Star break. So Desmond, another one eligible for free agency at the end of the year, having what they used to call a salary drive. And now with 2 out, nobody on, Daniel Murphy will be the batter. And he's had several drives, if you will, against Zimmerman in the past. Murph 20 for 59 with 4 home runs against him. First pitch taken on the inside corner, a fastball at 95, 0-1. Zimmerman 12-8 on the year. The 0-1 line foul down the left field line. That slices into the seats. And the count 0-2. He's tied for 8th of the league in wins with Harvey and others. 10th in innings pitched. The 0-2 on the way. And Murphy lines one in the air to pretty deep center. Taylor going back, way back, still going, reaches out, makes the running catch, and then crashes into the padded wall, and that retires the side. Brilliant play by the young center fielder Michael Taylor to take an extra base hit away from Daniel Murphy, and the Mets go in order in the first. Middle of the first inning, the Mets nothing, and the Nationals coming up on the WOR Mets Radio Network, driven by your outstanding plays. We're coming to you live from the Bigelow Tea broadcast booth. Bigelow, family tea blenders since 1945. Well, maybe it's an exaggeration to say that the whole baseball world is watching or even listening, but you know that they're going to be paying attention to what Matt Harvey does tonight, because so much has happened and so little has frankly been resolved since Friday, when the news came out that that 180 innings limit was going to come a lot more into play than everybody thought. But now it's up to Harvey to take care of his own business, facing Jason Worth to lead off. And the first pitch, a fastball taken outside, ball 1. Harvey coming out at 97 miles an hour, and that's on both the television gun and the scoreboard gun. And the scoreboard gun's usually a little hot here, but the fact that the TV gun's the same way means it's probably accurate. The 1-0, that's a called strike of the knees on the outside corner. 1-1 to Worth, who's been a hot hitter. He's on a 9-game hitting streak, and since they have moved him into the leadoff spot, he has really taken off, batting .329 in 18 games with 4 homers since then. The 1-1 pitch, swing and a miss, and a fastball riding in, and the count 1 ball and 2 strikes. Worth missed so much time this year, first with a shoulder injury early in the season and then a wrist injury later on. And the wrist is the one that kept him out for a couple of months. 67 games in all on the DL. So here's the 1-2 pitch. Swung on and missed, strike 3 at 98 miles an hour. And Harvey, not playing around, comes up firing darts to get Jason Worth. So 1 up, 1 down. Anthony Rendon coming up. Mets fans, make the call to the bullpen and replace that inefficient beast in your basement with an American-made Peerless boiler. Go to peerlessboilers.com for more info and to find a dealer near you. Remember, Peerless builds America's best boilers. Rendon has had a very similar season to Worth in that he has spent a chunk of time on the DL with various injuries, but he's been coming around with a bat. First pitch to him, a fastball, and that's right down the middle at 97 for a called strike 1. And so Matt's been between 96 and 98 over his first 5 pitches. Rendon hitting .261. The 0-1 pitch, fastball down the middle at 98, a called strike 2, and it's 0-2. Rendon is just 4 for his last 22, but you go back a couple of weeks, and he's one of the bats that has really heated up for the Nationals. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Outside, another fastball. He got that up to 99. And the count 1 ball and 2 strikes with Bryce Harper on deck. And he has now talked himself into the midst of his own personal tempest. 1-2, the count to Rendon. No score, 1 out, nobody on. Last of the first. Harvey delivers. Breaking ball low, 2-2. Defensively, the Mets have Duda at first, Murphy at second, Flores at short, and Wright at third. Conforto, Cespedes, Granderson left to right of the outfield, and d'Arnaud catching Harvey, who has a 0.99 lifetime ERA against Washington in 8 starts. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Fastball outside, ball 3. So missing away with his last 2 fastballs, but he's just throwing missiles out there. And now has run it full against Anthony Rendon. Harvey from the first base side of the rubber kicks and deals. Swinging a liner up the middle, base hit going into center field. Another fastball at 97. So Rendon aboard with a 1-out single. And let's listen to what kind of reaction for Bryce Harper, who criticized the fans yesterday. Harper's still in the on-deck circle.
Bryce Harper!
Well, doesn't sound like there are too many negative ramifications from Harper's having told the media after the game yesterday in so many words that he was disappointed that the fans were leaving in the 7th inning after the Mets took the 8-5 lead. But, of course, Harper has nothing to apologize for on the field this year, not leading the league in hitting at .336, 34 homers, 83 RBIs, but he's never had a hit against Harvey. First pitch, fastball popped up, left side, slicing into foul ground, right over, backing up, makes the catch, 2 men away. And so Bryce Harper is now 0 for 18 in his career against Harvey. 2 out. Rendon, the runner at first, and Yunel Escobar, the batter. Escobar, the cleanup hitter, tied for 7th in the league and hitting at .317, and he has been red hot lately, hitting .439 over his last 11 games. Escobar with 9 homers and 46 runs batted in. So Harvey with a strikeout of Worth, allowing a single to Rendon. He pops up Harper on the first pitch. And now Escobar digging in. Outfield straight away against the right-hand hitter. No score, 2 out, last of the first. A throw to first, and Rendon is back standing. Nationals do not steal a lot of bases. Only 54 as a team. The Mets and the Dodgers now tied for the fewest steals in the league. So Harvey sets at the letters. And his first pitch to Escobar is hit on the ground to the right side and on through, a base hit going into right field. Pulling into second and stopping there is Rendon. 2 singles now against Harvey. That looked like a breaking ball that was taken the other way by Escobar. And so now runners at first and second, and Clint Robinson coming up. Now Robinson is the first baseman tonight, and for who knows how much longer, now that Ryan Zimmerman is out with an oblique injury. And we all know that the oblique problems generally take days, if not weeks, to heal. He tweaked the oblique, what they say was his 3rd at-bat yesterday. That would have been when he popped up to win that big 5-run 4th inning. But he did stay in the game. Left-hand batter, Robinson, the first pitch, line to right field. That's a base hit. Granderson hustling to get to it, but around third, Rendon, he comes home to score. Going to third is Escobar, and on at first, the replacement for Ryan Zimmerman, Clint Robinson, with an RBI single, and it is 1-0 Washington against Harvey here in the first inning. The Nationals with runners at the corners and 2 men out.
Robinson was the guy that hammered a 2-run double off Harvey here back on July the 20th. That was a rare non-dominant start for Harvey against Washington. He's still never given up 5 hits, or more than 5 hits, Howie, in a game ever against the Nationals. But already here in the first inning tonight, he's given up 3.
On a night when he came out firing fastballs, struck out the first batter, Jason Worth, and now 3 hits in the last 4 batters, and Ian Desmond. Right-hand hitter comes up, hits the first pitch on the ground into right field, a base hit. In to score is Escobar, stopping at second, Robinson. On at first, Ian Desmond turns a 98-mile-an-hour fastball into an RBI single to right. And the Nationals here in the first inning have taken a 2-0 lead against Matt Harvey and the Mets.
This is similar to what happened here back in July, in that the Nationals are ambushing Harvey early in counts. He's only thrown 14 pitches, Howie. He's already faced 6 batters. It was 13 pitches thrown by Jordan Zimmerman to face the first two batters in the top of the inning.
And so with everything that has gone on around and within Matt Harvey ever since Friday, whatever angst or tension or other emotions of that magnitude that he might be feeling, no doubt amplified a bit by the fact that the Nats have gotten to him for 2 runs on 4 hits, and he's not out of the first inning, and now he's got to face Wilson Ramos, who has always been a Met killer, including yesterday when he hit a grand slam. First pitch to the right-hand batter is off the outside corner, a 98-mile-an-hour fastball, ball 1. Ramos 3 for 6 against Harvey, hitting .242 on the year, 13 homers, 61 RBIs. But in 171 at-bats against the Mets, a .327 average with 10 homers and 41 RBIs. So 2 runs in, 2-0 Washington. Harvey taking a little more time, and Ramos got tired of that, so he got time from the home plate. I'm Dana DeMuth. Well, the last thing that Harvey wanted after everything that's gone on is to give something up early and exacerbate the tension and the conversation. The 1-0, swing and a miss at a 98-mile-an-hour fastball, 1 ball and 1 strike. Of course, one thing the Mets have done so well ever since the turnaround began against the Washington Nationals back in New York at the very end of July and into early August is pick each other up, whether hitters picking teammates up in the batting order or the hitters picking pitchers up or pitchers picking their defense up. Mets will have to do that for Harvey. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Ramos fouls it back to the screen, a fastball at 97. And the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Ramos is standing at the very, very back of the batter's box, too. I think he knows he's going to be getting nothing but 97, 98. So he's backed up as far as he can. He had a curveball out of here for that grand slam yesterday off John Neese.
A pitch that Neese really was second-guessing himself about after the game. No one else. He was angry at himself. Felt he threw his third-best pitch, and he didn't want to throw it. He should have just shaken Darno off, but Neese shouldered the blame. 1-2. Now the pitch. Fastball on the outside corner. Strike 3 called. Side retired. 2 strikeouts for Harvey. But the Nationals break on top. 2 runs, 4 hits. No errors. 2 men left at the end of 1. It's the Nationals 2. The Mets nothing's down yesterday to win. And they'll have to figure something out against Jordan Zimmerman, who lifetime against the Mets is 8-6. 1-1 this year in 3 starts against them. And again, he is likely to command a pretty big dollar on the free agent market this winter. David Wright leads off, takes the first pitch high for ball 1. Wright just not having any fun. Too bad, isn't it? Boy, it was great to see his reactions yesterday. The 1-0, swing and a miss at a hard slider down and away, 1-1. First, when he got the line drive hit over shortstop that brought Tejada in with a go-ahead run, he almost took Tom Goodwin's hand off at first. The 1-1 changeup inside, 2 balls and 1 strike to David. And then that slide into home plate to make it 8-5 and the fist pump. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Fastball swung on and missed, 2-2. We don't know where this season's going and what it will mean to the Mets in the end, but if it ends in a real good way, that fist pump, that could be a bobblehead doll someday.
That's right.
Just like Jesse Orozco's. 2-2 pitch, fastball inside, 3 balls and 2 strikes. I was asking David before the game if when he saw Tim Tuffle giving him the green light at third, coming around from first, he went, oh no. There's the payoff pitch, fouled straight back out of play. He said, no, he felt a lot better about it yesterday than he did back at Citi Field in one of his first games back when Michael Kadire singled to right, and then the ball was misplayed by Rusney Castillo in right field, and David had to, again, chug around third, coming all the way from first. He said he didn't know if he had it that day. Payoff pitch popped up foul, coming straight back out of play, so it's still a full count. But David did admit he is having a tremendous time, and that the fact that he experienced going first to home on that ball at Citi Field made him feel that he'd get in there yesterday. Payoff pitch, hit high in the air, deep to left field, down the line, gone if it's fair. It is a home run for David Wright. He turns a fastball around and hits it deep into the lower left field stands, just to the right of the foul pole. And so the Washington lead is cut to 2-1. And just as the Mets came back with a run yesterday, immediately after Washington put up that 5 spot in the bottom half of the 4th inning to make it 5-3, David Wright makes a statement by coming right back with a home run against Jordan Zimmerman, and just like that, it's 2-1 Washington, and Lucas Duda will be the batter.
And it's the second time he has picked up Matt Harvey in the last couple of days, although this time in a very different way. First time it was mentally and emotionally. This time it's on the scoreboard.
So here is Lucas Duda back in the batter's box for the first time since the 21st of August. He goes after the first pitch and pops it up to the left side of the infield. With the infield overshifted, Desmond, the shortstop, makes the catch. He was the only man on the left side of the infield. So 1 away, and Travis d'Arnaud coming up. For David, it was his 3rd home run of the year. The 3rd that he's hit in 46 at-bats against Jordan Zimmerman. After he fouled off a couple of payoff pitches, and well, again, captains lead in various ways, and we've seen it in all manner from David Wright just in the last few days. But here's Travis d'Arnaud. Travis batting .288, 10 home runs. First pitch, breaking ball in for a called strike 1. Tonight's Race to the Pennant feature is brought to you by River Spring Health. In the American League East, Blue Jays half game up on the Yankees. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Slider, line foul down the right field line, out of play, 0-2. Yankees will be home against Baltimore, Toronto at Boston. R.A. Dickey going for Toronto. Jays have won his last 9 starts. And his next win will be the 100th of his major league career, including those 20 in his Cy Young season with the Mets 3 years ago. 0-2 pitch. Low outside, a slider, 1-2. River Spring Health offers a full continuum of exceptionally skilled elder care solutions for seniors, helping them live a full life. Go to riverspringhealth.org for more information today. Michael Conforto on deck. Now the 1-2 to d'Arnaud. Low outside, a fastball, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Travis, 10 home runs, 36 RBIs. Pretty good production in only 47 games. 2-2 pitch. Line foul to the first base side. That reaches the back of the field level seats behind first. Get to Citi Field on Saturday night, October 3rd. Mets will face these Nationals with who knows what on the line. And the first 15,000 fans in attendance will receive a Mets fleece blanket, courtesy of the Northwest Company. 2-2 to d'Arnaud. Zimmerman deals. Swung on and missed strike 3. Got him with that hard sinker down and in. And for Zimmerman, his second strikeout. 2 out, nobody on, and Conforto coming up. Make sure to get to the ballpark early, as those blankets will be in high demand. For tickets, visit Mets.com/tickets. So, here is Conforto. Michael hit the first pitch he saw from Max Scherzer yesterday for an opposite field home run. 3rd home run he's hit in his last 6 games. Batting .298. First pitch, fastball inside, ball 1 to the left-hand hitter. Robinson, the first baseman, playing right on the line for Conforto. .298, 6 homers, 19 runs batted in. 1-0 pitch. Bouncing ball to second to his right, Rendon. He's got it. Throws to first in time, side retired. Mets get a run back on 1 hit. The homer by Wright, nobody left. Middle of the second. Washington 2, the Mets 1 on the WOR Mets Radio Network, driven by your Tri-Honda dealers.
The bottom of the second is the perfect time to brew up your first Bigelow tea, hot or over ice. The smooth taste of Bigelow has been steeped in New York history for 70 years. Bigelow and baseball, summer's best double play.
Start at the bottom of the second. Michael Taylor, the number 8 hitter in the lineup, leads off. Matt Harvey's first pitch taken high and tight, a fastball at 95 for ball 1. Home half of the second inning, sponsored by Sloman's. Taylor hitting .242 with 14 homers, and the 1-0 pitch swung on and missed. A changeup in the count, 1-1. For home heating oil this winter, call Sloman's at 866-OIL-DEAL or visit the Sloman's booth at Citi Field to learn all about their convenient, low-priced home heating oil delivery. Taylor, Zimmerman, Worth due up for Washington. Harvey's 1-1. Bunted foul back behind home plate, 1-2. Michael Taylor was the center fielder most of this year when he wasn't supposed to be. Now there's a good chance he is the national center fielder for the remainder of this year and way beyond. Because Denard Span, who is eligible for free agency, ultimately needed hip surgery. He was out with myriad injuries this year, and finally it was the hip that got him once and for all, and surgery was performed last week. 1-2 pitch on the way. Breaking ball foul down the third baseline on the ground. Still 1-2. So Span out for the year, and as he will become a free agent after the season, very good chance that his time in Washington is over. And Taylor, who the Nationals have considered a 5-tool prospect, going to get his chance again. 1-2 pitch. Fastball in tight on him. 2 balls and 2 strikes. He strikes out a ton, 8th most in the league, 132 times, but he's got power. We saw his defense tonight. He made a great catch on that long fly ball hit by Murphy in the first inning. 2-2 pitch. Lays off a fastball high and away, full count. Taylor, a native Floridian, born in Fort Lauderdale. Harvey sets up on the first base side of the rubber. Into the compact windup. Here's the payoff pitch. And it's low. Ball 4. He missed with a slider, it appears, from up here. And Harvey walks the leadoff man, Michael Taylor. So Jordan Zimmerman, the pitcher, will probably be up there to bunt. First walk allowed by Harvey. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by RE/MAX. RE/MAX agents are trained to help you find the perfect fit wherever you go or wherever you're heading, locally or globally. Go to RE/MAX.com to find an agent for all the things that move you. Each office independently owned and operated. So Zimmerman squares early. Mets pinch at the corners. The pitch bunted hard up the first base side. Harvey looks to second. Zimmerman not even running as Harvey throws to first, covered by Murphy for the out. What happened was Harvey did what you want to do when you know the hitter is going to bunt. He came up and in. A lot of times you do that to try to make the hitter pop the bunt up. But in that case, Zimmerman recoiled, moving backwards from the pitch. And even though he dropped the bunt down, he didn't even get out of the box. And rather than risk going after the speedy Taylor at second, Harvey took the sure out at first. So the sacrifice goes 1-4, and it brings up Jason Worth.
And Harvey did a double take, is when he looked to home plate and saw that Zimmerman was still standing there. He might have thought, wait, was that called foul or something? But then no, he figured I got to throw to first, and he did.
So here is Worth, who struck out swinging his first time. Murphy, the second baseman, trying to keep Taylor close to the bag. Harvey taking a little extra time here. Worth with that back foot almost out of the batter's box. Now Travis d'Arnaud, the catcher, is going to head out and have a word with Harvey. 18 pitches all he needed to get through the first inning, which is not bad, but they did score a couple of runs against him on 4 hits. And he just came out firing fastball after fastball after fastball. And that certainly was understandable given all the extra adrenaline he probably has with everything that's gone on. But he has started going to his other pitches. And now Taylor at second, 1 out. And the first pitch to Worth. Swing and a miss at the fastball, 0-1. 97-mile-an-hour fastball. Velocity has not been an issue at all. Harvey's between 96 and 98 consistently with that fastball so far. Outfield straight away. Best throwing arm in that Mets outfield is in center field. That's Cespedes. The 0-1 pitch. Swing and a miss. He overpowered him at 98. And the count, no balls and 2 strikes with Anthony Rendon waiting on deck. Terry Collins has been kind of kicking himself for a couple of days ever since the whole controversy with Harvey started. He says, Matt, to be kind to his pitcher, has been sort of stuck in the middle of this. He shouldn't have talked, was Terry's opinion. The 0-2 on the way, fouled off to the right downstairs and out of play. No balls and 2 strikes. And Terry kind of blames himself a little bit for not having been more forceful with Matt before he met the media on Saturday when the team was in Miami. But it's all about the performance now. And that will, along with how the Mets fare in the ensuing days, determine how much more work he gets during the regular season. Here's the 0-2. Swing and a chopper towards third. That's a foul ball. David Wright chasing it over towards the line. But the count remains 0-2 to Jason Worth.
And in a way, Howie, the Dark Knight has kind of gone a little Bobby Knight with all this rage against the media ever since then. And that seems a bit perplexing, too, because it's like he poured a bucket of water on his own head, and he's wondering why his hair is wet. You know, you're not going to win taking on the media. And Terry's making sure that Matt knows, just channel all your aggression, whatever it may be, into beating these Washington Nationals tonight.
He's trailing 2-1. Taylor at second, 1 out, last of the second. The 0-2 pitch. Fastball fouled into the mid of d'Arnaud. Strike 3. 98-mile-an-hour fastball as Harvey gets Worth for the second time. He's got 3 strikeouts overall. And with 2 men away, Anthony Rendon will be the batter. Mets have one more here in Washington. It's going to be Jacob deGrom tomorrow night against Steven Strasburg. And deGrom bears a little closer examination as well because he hasn't been as sharp over his last couple of starts, and it should not be considered a surprise. This is the month of September. Harvey has never pitched a full season before. Same for deGrom at the big league level. And now the first pitch to Rendon. Fastball rides high, 1-0. So when you hear, whether it's from Terry Collins or someone else, that September is a different animal, they're talking about it in a variety of ways because this season is relentless and it taxes you mentally as well as physically, and that catches up with a lot of young players, particularly on their first pennant race. The 1-0 taken off the inside corner, 2-0 to Rendon with Bryce Harper on deck. So that's why the scrutiny of Matt Harvey tonight is going to be most acute because of the events of the last few days. But deGrom and Syndergaard, who's going to start Saturday, and they're under the microscope too. 2-1 Washington. Taylor at second, 2 out in the second. And the 2-0 breaking ball over for a called strike. 91-mile-an-hour slider for a called strike to Rendon. And the count 2 balls and 1 strike.
Slider high up, too. Rendon didn't really seem like he was expecting anything like that.
Taylor walks a short lead off of second. Harvey comes set of the letters. 2-1 pitch. Slider hit on the ground towards third. Fair ball down the line. Extra base hit. It'll score a run. Taylor rounds third, comes home. Throw to second. They might get him. Rendon is out at second. Murphy applies the tag. David Wright immediately goes to the third base ump, Paul Nart, and says, wait a minute, you sure that was a fair ball? That's the answer. Those are not appealable or reviewable. So the run scores. And it is an RBI single for Rendon, who is thrown out 7-4, trying to stretch a single into a double. But the Nationals add a run on 1 hit, no errors, nobody left. And to the end of 2, it's the Nationals 3 and the Mets 1 on the WOR. Out, Anthony Rendon trying to stretch his RBI single into a double. The Nationals scoring in the first 2 innings have opened up a 3-1 lead. Wilmer Flores leads off the third against Jordan Zimmerman. Josh?
All right, thank you very much, Howie. And, back here in July, Harvey had a similar beginning to his night. Wilmer Flores takes on the outside corner, strike 1. It's actually a 2-run first and then a 3-run third. He was down 5-zip and then retired the last 14 batters he faced in that game. A little bit more like himself. 0-1 delivery is looped in the air towards right field. It's shallow. Second baseman galloping back. Rendon He is there to put it away up over his left shoulder with a one-hand catch, 1 out. And it is Harvey coming up right now. The politics of innings limits being hashed out maybe appropriately here in Washington, D.C. It's all anybody seems to want to talk about. Harvey's not the only young pitcher on a contending team facing some sort of workload limitation down the stretch. He'll take a strike here on the outside, 0-1. Of course, most of the others aren't coming back from Tommy John surgery like Matt. But you look at young guys around the league. 0-1 fouled back to the net, 0-2. Garrett Cole, Carlos Martinez, and Michael Wacha of St. Louis. Look at Luis Severino of the Yankees. Look at Noah Syndergaard of the Mets. It's already up to 152 innings this year. Pitch to Harvey, riding a high. It's 1-2. Part of why the Mets were going with this 6-man rotation, it's not just for Harvey. for other guys, too. 1-2 has dribbled foul up the first base line. We'll do it again. Syndergaard with those 152 innings. His previous career high was last year at 133. And again, the Mets are hoping to play deep into October. 1-2 pitch is hit in the air, way up into the air, down the first base line, drifting towards the crowd. It'll make it into the crowd, 5 rows back. Now, and as for the Met fans who have donned the Batman masks and capes for Harvey's starts, this is all very personal, and you understand it, because they kind of assumed he would lead the team's push through late September and October. Got a note from your doctor, crumple it, light it on fire. Pitcher's outside 2-2, but as it's been talked about, it's not that simple. Matt Harvey, and you don't blame him, has his long-term interests in mind as well. 2-2 is rolled towards second base. The easy pickings for Rendon, takes his time, flings to first, 2 out. From towing to hauling, work or play, Ram will power you through it. See your Ram dealer or log on to ramtrucks.com. Guts, glory, Ram. It's a very gutty win for the Mets yesterday. They were down 5-3, came back to win 8-5. John Neese struggled yet again. His third straight start clipped by a 5-run inning. But boy, did the Mets pick him up. They came roaring back. The exciting go-ahead hit by David Wright. He scored that insurance run after a breathless 270-foot run to glory. Top of the order, Granderson now. 3-1 Washington. The pitch. He is outside 1-0. Howie mentioned it. David scored that big run, and he kind of channeled his inner Gronkowski as he crossed the plate. The pitch, a strike to Granderson on the inside, 1-1. If he had a football to spike, he would have done it, you figure. It's as excited as you'll ever see David Wright. 1-1 inside, but did he swing? No. Granderson holding back. They appeal down to Paul Nart, mall cop. It is 2-1 to Granderson, who was struck out on a full count in the first inning. Rock on the rubber, the 2-1, buzzing inside, 3 balls and a strike. Not a full house by any stretch tonight, maybe 28,000-29,000 here. Bryce Harper taking the fans to task last night for leaving early.
He chased them away today.
Yeah. 3-1 pitch is low, ball 4. Granderson is on. And if you're dialing up a tying man, this is the guy coming up you want to be that man, Yoenis Cespedes. Those who left early yesterday missed a chance for Cespedes to get a 4th extra base hit. He did not. But 3 is plenty. That's 3 times in the last 3 weeks he's had 3 extra base hits in a game. He has homered in 5 of his last 6. He plopped one down in the begonias yesterday, just over the left field wall. And he can tie it up right here. Granderson at first. 3-1 top of the third. Zimmerman's delivery is taken outside 1-0. Yoenis had a kind of an excellent adventure around the bases yesterday, too, to tie that game up. With a little help from Max Scherzer. Scherzer balking. Distracted by Cespedes. 1-0 pitch is outside 2-0. The window extended for the Mets to potentially negotiate a long-term contract with Yoenis after the postseason comes to a conclusion. That news announced today, and Met fans should be happy about that. Let them throw their hat in the ring at least. 2 balls, no strikes. The pitch taken on the inside corner, 2-1. Outfield is a setback, and you don't blame him. As a Met, a .297 hitter. Here's a 2-1 delivery. Checks the swing, takes a strike on the inside corner, doesn't like it, 2-2. 13 homers, 31 batted in just 34 games as a Met. And he steps way out of the box here, trying to collect himself. As a tying man in the top of the third inning, the Mets are trying to pick up Matt Harvey, who's had a stumble of a start so far tonight. Daniel Murphy, who always clobbers Zimmerman, is on deck. But a 2-2 count here to Cespedes. Runner on, 2 out. The pitch. Swing and a miss. He got him. Fastball roaring to the outside corner. Was off the outside corner. Cespedes chased it. And the Mets strand Granderson at first base. Well, you'll have a couple of mad men staring each other down when we come back. It'll be Harper versus Harvey. 3-1 Washington on the WOR. Mets Radio Network saluting Burke Rehabilitation Hospital's 100th anniversary. Fans can make donations to celebrate the centennial at burke.org, pioneering rehabilitation. Well, it's tough to figure. Rob Brantley is 4 for 8 lifetime against Matt Harvey. Juan Pierre ended up 7 for 14. Bryce Harper is 0 for 18 lifetime against Matt Harvey. 7 strikeouts. He fouled out against him early tonight. 3-1 our score. Washington leading. Harper taking, and a fast one right down the middle at 97, 0-1. 97 miles an hour. That pit speed sponsored by the convenience stores of Speedway. Great food and beverage choices. A one and only Speedy Rewards card. Stop by your local Speedway today. Harper MVP candidate taking low. It's 1-1. Any way you slice it, he's an MVP candidate. Leads the majors in on-base percentage and slugging. Wins above replacement value, if you're into that kind of thing. Outfield very deep against him. Young left-hand batter waiting. The 1-1 pitch is socked on the ground to second. Harvey's got him again. Taking his time, Murphy, making Harper run.
He didn't run.
Throws him out, and Harper, just kind of hung his head after hitting it on the ground.
We're going to get to see a replay, I'm sure, in a minute. He made contact with the ball, and he just didn't move. He stood there in disgust before he finally started the jog.
Easy for us to editorialize about the opposition, but if Harper's going to get on the fans for leaving early, he owes it to the fans to run. So he takes his 0 for 19 career against Matt Harvey and sulks on back to the dugout. Yunel Escobar will be the batter, and he's been problematic for Harvey. Problematic for a lot of Mets this year, and really for the entire National League. Socks this one up into the air, drifting towards the crowd on the first base side. That'll make it in there for simply a foul ball, 0-1. 3 runs, 5 hits for Washington. Harvey, now in his 9th career start against the Nationals, has never given up more than 5 in a single game against him. For the Mets, it's 1 run on the 1 David Wright home run. A long one down the left field line. Harvey from the first base side of the rubber rocks and he brings it. Swinging another hard hit ball to second. Murphy has to go off his chest. He recovers, slings to first, 2 out. So back-to-back grounders to Murphy. That one a lot harder than the one that Harper hit. And it could be as this game unrolls here. We'll look back to something that we didn't have a lot of time to talk about, Howie. That was Conforto throwing out a runner at second base. That was Rendon, who had singled in a run officially, but looked like he'd be able to get to second base without an issue. Conforto threw him out, and if that was going to be a big inning, last inning for Washington, it didn't happen. 2 down, Clint Robinson batting. Lefty deep in the box, pitch to him, right there for a strike, 0-1.
It just further emphasizes how good he's been, meaning Conforto, in ways that we might not have expected when he came up.
0-1 delivery, a broken bat, looper into center field. Cespedes coming on, he's got to pull up a base hit. Robinson is 3 for his last 3 against Matt Harvey. That's a long-time minor league journeyman who not only has found a role with these Washington Nationals this year, with Ryan Zimmerman out with that oblique issue, he could be a big deal for them down the stretch. And the bat ended up in pieces up that first base line, but the baseball ended up down at the feet of Cespedes in shallow center. And the batter is Ian Desmond, so finally Harvey has allowed 6 hits in a game to Washington. And we're not even out of the 3rd inning yet tonight. Desmond, the righty with power, drives it in the air to left field. Conforto going back, he's got room, shy of the track. He's there, makes a one-hand catch, and that ends the inning. Important for Matt Harvey to throw up a donut, and he did after a 2-run first and a one-run second. Nothing across. Family tea blender since 1945. The Mets are trailing 3-1. They won 8-5 yesterday. Reestablished a 5-game lead over the Washington team here in the NL East. Daniel Murphy leads it off and drills one foul down near first. It's 0-1. Sounded like a broken bat, too. Murphy's got to go get a new piece of wood here. Let's quickly pause while he does that for Station ID on the WOR Mets Radio Network, driven by your Tri-Honda dealers.
I'm Kathleen Maloney, WOR New York. How about this record-breaking September heat? The mercury hit 97 in Central Park today. More after the game.
Heat's turned up for Matt Harvey, too. The pilot light was lit, you can argue, by Matt Harvey. It is a 3-1 deficit for the Dark Knight tonight on a warm night here in D.C. as well. 0-1 to Murphy with a new bat. He takes outside 1-1. Time for the top of the fourth Mets Insider Report presented by Newsday. Here in the booth, a very busy Mets beat reporter, Mark Carrig. Talk about more things besides Harvey. 1-1 is cracked down the right side, foul into the crowd. It's 1-2. I'm not going to start with Matt Harvey. The heck with that. We have plenty of time for Dark Knight talk. How about David Wright? How about answering the bell tonight with a long home run?
And also answering the bell yesterday. David's waited a long time for these kinds of games, and he's certainly making the most of them.
1-2 is rolled up near first and foul again.
And certainly that was great motivation for him as he battled back from the spinal stenosis and all of this stuff. So, you could tell like he is super excited just to be in this atmosphere, and he has waited a long time to get back here.
I think that fist pump said it all yesterday, releasing years of pent-up frustration. Murphy swings, and he hoists it down the right field line pretty deep, but only to the warning track. Harper's back to make that catch in front of his own bullpen. Well, Murphy, 2 deep fly balls already off Zimmerman, who has always hit very well, and now here comes the captain. Off the field, obviously, we knew this about David Wright, just how important he is to this ball club, and that's why the Mets invested in him long term. But, well, you really get the sense now, because you've seen it this week with Matt Harvey, and then I'm sure with some of these younger players, too, that he's willing to say, I got you. I mean, on the field and off the field.
Yep. He's got a big role in there, too, keeping things in order.
Here's the pitch to him, and he takes low 1-0.
And certainly, what he does on the field is huge, too, but I think it's irreplaceable what he does in the clubhouse.
Nationals leading 3-1. 1-0 pitch, waved at and missed. 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, it was a 4-inning conversation, apparently, between the captain and an all-ears Matt Harvey the other day. 1-1 is looped in the air, foul ground first base side, drifting into the crowd. It's now 1-2. Of course, Matt took to the online Players Tribune to really tell his story a lot better the other day. The New York City bureau chief getting his word out, which I think was important, kind of stemmed the tide a little bit. 1-2, a check swing on a pitch in the dirt. Did he go? He did! On appeal down to Mike Estabrook at first. And Wright shakes his head as he walks away. That was close. But he couldn't hold, and it's 2 down now. Lucas Duda coming up.
It's funny, I know, he at least said his piece, but I actually thought didn't really address or handle any questions with that. I mean, you can say all you want, I'm going to do X, but there really wasn't much substance there, and I think that's one of those instances where perhaps he might have been better served, answering questions and doing that more thoughtfully than he did in his previous attempt.
Shift is on for Duda, and the big lefty takes a strike at the knees, 0-1. Of course, the simple bottom line is if Harvey and his teammates don't play well these next couple of weeks, there is no pitching in the playoffs dilemma. Pitch to Duda's inside, it's 1-1.
Yeah, certainly that's something that, got to keep that in mind, especially these games here. I mean, they're so critical, and, and Terry mentioned it too. The distraction, though, doesn't help, but they've handled it pretty solidly.
1-1 pitch inside, 2-1. I thought that was about the most important comeback they've had all year was yesterday with all the other stuff swirling around. Michael Conforto continues to make a lot of that happen. He's 22, and he's impervious to the pressure, it seems. 2-1 is clipped foul, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
He's just so advanced in every way, not just as a hitter. I actually had a conversation with Kevin Long about it today. I mean, this guy, he's so polished and so refined, but what I think sets him apart is that, he's got a maturity there, too, as far as just learning and handling adversity and pressure.
Base is clear, the 2-2 from Zimmerman. Swung on and missed, strike 3. Duda down on strikes, and the inning is over. It'll be Matt Harvey's serve again in just a moment or two. Thank you, Mark Carrig of Newsday. We'll read a lot of stuff in the paper tomorrow, I'm sure. The Nationals try to come back from down 5 in the NL East standings. They're ahead tonight 3-1.
This is our 8th game in here this year, and the first time I noticed they put Calvin Coolidge into this race. Calvin Coolidge?
They'll put anybody in there.
That guy.
We'll table that for another time. First, it's Wilson Ramos at the plate as the Nationals lead 3-1 tonight against Matt Harvey. And Ramos, the Met killer, simply tips one towards second base. Easy for Daniel Murphy. Plays that slow roller across to first in plenty of time. Ramos now 0 for 2. And Harvey now starting to get a lot of first pitch, second pitch outs, which means he'll probably be out there a little longer tonight. Extremely reasonable pitch count right now, only 44 here in the 4th inning. And that's another topic of conversation, I guess. Maybe not quite as explosive as the Calvin Coolidge issue, but as we talk about innings limits, not all innings are created equal. Pitch to Michael Taylor is outside 1-0. The Major League average is 17 pitches per inning. So that would be 3,060 pitches if someone were to be capped at 180 innings. A swing, a little dribbler out in front of the plate by Taylor. Springing on it, d'Arnaud throws him out. And another very quick out here. It's 2 up, 2 down. But anyway, just real quick, if you'll hang with me on the math, if Harvey for the year is averaging 14.7 pitches per inning, not 17, to get to that 3,060 number of capped pitches, not capped innings, well, that would mean Harvey actually could throw more like 205 or 207 innings, not 180. Just a brief aside. Here is Zimmerman, the opposing pitcher, takes a strike. It's 0-1.
And then all pitches are not created equally. Stressful pitches and the like, and based on number of men on base.
Well, for example, Scherzer yesterday had a lot of stressful innings. There's a swing and a miss by Zimmerman. He's down 0-2.
He was throwing stressful pitches to the second batter of the game after Worth misplayed the fly ball from Granderson.
Try to sneak in an out-of-town score or two, time permitting. Here's the 0-2 pitch on the way. Swinging a foul back. The scoreboard update sponsored by your Tri-Honda dealers. Visit TriHondaDealers.com. Check out the best deals today. Pittsburgh up early 5-0 on Cincinnati in the 3rd. Baltimore and the Yankees scoreless in the 3rd inning tonight. Toronto and Boston 1-1 in the 3rd. 0-2 ripped at and missed. Down goes Zimmerman, and Harvey now starting to find his stride. A scoreless 3rd, a scoreless 4th, and it's on to the 5th. Nationals 3 and the Mets 1 on the WOR Mets Radio Network, driven by your Tri-Honda dealers.
Windorama.
MLB.com at bat for your smartphone or tablet. Well, we're reminded here there are two sides to every coin. Heads is Harvey, tails is Zimmerman. Zimmerman, like Harvey, is a 12-game winner. And he's got a little something to prove, too. The Nationals is an entire collective certainly do. They've got 5 games to make up with about 24, 25 to go now. Zimmerman pitching very well. Leading 3-1 here in the top of the 5th. Travis d'Arnaud about to bat, and back for the play-by-play. Here's Howie.
All right, Josh, thank you very much. Travis d'Arnaud, right-hand batter. Jordan Zimmerman deals a ground ball up the middle. Desmond to his left, dives but can't reach it. It's a base hit going into center field for d'Arnaud. So the Mets get only their second hit, the other being David Wright's leadoff homer in the 2nd. And so the Mets with a leadoff base runner as d'Arnaud singles, and that'll bring up Michael Conforto. Wilmer Flores behind him offers protection in the lineup, just as Norman Seabrook and the Corrections Officers Benevolent Association protect and patrol the toughest precincts in New York, the jails. Coba, New York's boldest. Conforto grounded to second his first time, made a great throw from left field to nail Anthony Rendon trying to stretch 1 into 2. First pitch, fastball backs him off the plate, 1 ball and no strikes. Conforto over his last 15 games coming in and hit .380 with 4 home runs and using the entire field and really making you wonder what his ceiling is. The 1-0 taken down and in, 2 balls and no strikes. This probably isn't fair, and I don't know if Conforto will even pull more as he gets more familiar with pitchers and maybe become a 25-plus home run hitter as opposed to, say, a 15-plus home run hitter. The 2-0 taken high, 3-0. And even though he's ahead in the count here, and he may end up drawing a walk, and it's something he's done 13 times in 105 at-bats, the point being, I may draw a comparison that you think is crazy. Here's the 3-0. Right down the middle, a called strike 3-1. But again, taking walks out of the equation, because the guy I'm going to mention walks a ton. The way Conforto sprayed the ball around and hit for some power, he reminds me a little bit of Joey Votto. Well, I don't know that you get a lot of scouts to agree with that, but just throwing it out there. 3-1 pitch, fouled straight back out of play. It's a full count now.
He's got some defensive acumen like Votto does as well, different position. But we've seen Conforto run the bases intelligently, made some great plays in left field. And again, if the Mets hang in this game, don't underestimate that throw he made to end the second inning tonight.
Terry Collins talks about it all the time. He has exhibited more tools than he was led to believe he had. Here's the payoff pitch. Breaking ball hit on the ground to second. Should be 2. Rendon to Desmond. 1 on to first. Double play. Well, Votto hits into double plays too.
He does.
Anyway, 2 out, nobody on as Conforto hits into the 4-6-3, and it'll bring up Wilmer Flores. And that's what Jordan Zimmerman does when he gets into trouble. He leans on that sinker. And he just turned Michael Conforto into 2 outs here in the 5th. So here is Flores, who popped to second his first time up. It's 3-1 Washington here in the 5th inning. Zimmerman into the windup. The first pitch to Wilmer is a sinker for a called strike. 0-1. Wilmer's grandfather is feeling a lot better after the heart attack that he had last week. He's not in the hospital. He's back home. The 0-1 fouled straight back out of play. No balls and 2 strikes. And Wilmer, very close to his grandfather, was just happy to be able to get there and spend a little time with him, and relieved to know that with proper attention to detail, he'll be all right. Here's the 0-2. Fastball inside, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Said like any other patient who has a heart attack a little bit later in life, there are things you're just going to have to cut out of your diet, other parts of your lifestyle, but Wilmer's a relieved kid. 1-2 pitch, pulled on the ground, foul. That might have gone 5-hole on Tim Tuffle, the third base coach, who skipped out of the way.
Love to see Wilmer just get on, and if nothing else, clear the pitcher here. Let Granderson lead off if it comes to that in the following inning.
3-1 Washington, 2 out, nobody on. Top of the 5th. 1-2 pitch. Fastball pounded foul. Tim Tuffle runs from this one too. He just scooted to his right, wanting no part of it.
That's the new age Tuffle shuffle.
Come on, Tuff. The guy was a major league infielder.
Got his hands on his hips almost defiantly now. Like, don't try me a third time.
1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Zimmerman delivers. Breaking ball in the dirt. That one goes through the catcher, Wilson Ramos. And it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Before the Nationals signed Max Scherzer, even with Steven Strasburg, who got so much of the attention, it was generally conceded that Zimmerman was the best pitcher on the Nationals staff. Part of the reason in signing Scherzer was the fear they'd lose Zimmerman. 2-2 pitch, fouled back to the screen. And still 2 balls and 2 strikes. This Washington team's going to take a hit this winter, assuming that Span leaves, Doug Fister's a free agent, Ian Desmond a free agent, Jordan Zimmerman a free agent. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Fouled off to the right downstairs, out of play. River Spring Health has been helping older adults live forward for nearly 100 years through the Hebrew Home at Riverdale, Riverwalk, and many award-winning programs. Call 1-800-56-SENIOR right now. Nationals will get some payroll relief, but in a few years they'll be paying Scherzer $35 million. 2-2 to Flores, taken low and away. Full count. That's right, $35 million a year in the last several years of Max Scherzer's contract. Now it's a 7-year deal. This is the first, and he's making a bargain basement $10 million this year, plus some of the $50 million bonus money spread out. Here's the payoff pitch to Flores. Swinging a fly ball, well hit to left, going back Worth. He'll have a play right in front of the track. He makes the catch, and that retires the side. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, nobody left. Middle of the 5th inning, the Nationals 3, the Mets 1 on the WOR Mets Radio Network, driven by your Tri-Honda dealers. Bigelow T can make the second. Well, Carlos Torres, according to Terry Collins, will be down at least 1 to 2 weeks, if not more, because of his calf injury sustained in yesterday's game. So Tim Stoffer will essentially replace him in the bullpen. Jason Worth leads off against Matt Harvey. First pitch slider taken high, ball 1. 3-1 Washington. Harvey has struck out Worth both times he's faced him. So the Nationals now getting their third look tonight at Harvey. His Worth is the leadoff man in the batting order. 1-0 pitch. Slider hit on the ground, foul down the third base line. And it's 1-1 to Worth. Anthony Rendon and Bryce Harper to follow. Mets with only 2 hits. The Nationals with 6 against Harvey, who worked his first perfect inning in the 4th. Maybe he was too amped up at the beginning. He'll answer that later, we think. The 1-1, a slider outside, 2 balls and 1 strike. Matt has been so upset with everything and everyone over the last few days, but particularly the way he's been portrayed in the media, particularly the print media. You hope he talks. 2-1 pitch, foul back to the screen, 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Well, in a weird way, it might almost be better if he didn't, or at the very least, Howie, just, to give some direct answers and say, thank you, gentlemen and ladies, and just walk away, just so he doesn't get upset at anything.
Let's talk about the game.
Right?
Let the other stuff be handled by the others. 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Struck him out. 97-mile-an-hour fastball. The third time he's got Worth today. 5 strikeouts for Harvey. 1 out, and Anthony Rendon coming up. A lot of the anger that Matt felt towards certain columnists in particular who took him to task has got to be put away. He has an obligation after the game to talk about the game. And when the inevitable questions come up about how much he'll pitch the rest of the year, hopefully he understands now the best thing to do is just be bland about it. Say the front office will take care of it. Anthony Rendon takes low and away. Ball 1. I know that's what everybody in the organization kind of hopes he does.
Well, exactly right. And, C.J. Nitkowski wrote a thoughtful piece on FoxSports.com today talking about how what's been happening with Harvey.
The 1-0. Fastball fouled straight back.
In his words, is what you can expect from millennials in general. That's C.J. Nitkowski's words. Try to change the process right in the middle of it, despite the fact your boss already has a plan in motion. The Mets already have their doctors and rehab staff, and they're pretty good at what they do. For Boris and or Harvey to squawk at what the plan is, kind of a shot across their bow. I don't think Harvey meant to get in the middle of all that.
Here's the 1-1. Hit hard on the ground to second, right at Murphy. He's got it. Throws to first in time, 2 men away. Come to think of it, it's a good thing there was no social media around when Calvin Coolidge was president. Now that he's involved in this Fakakta race they've got here, is that fans are worried that Matt Harvey is ducking out on anything. Coolidge is the guy who says, I do not choose to run for president. And whatever it was, 1928.
And tonight he chose not to run in the race either. He just stood there along with Thomas Jefferson and watched Teddy Roosevelt win it at the wire.
And there were no term limits back then either. Well, anyway, here's Bryce Harper. 3-1 Washington, 2 out, nobody on last of the 5th. Harvey delivers. Swinging a hard hit, grounded to second. Scooped up by Murphy. Throws to first in time. Harper going a little harder out of the box that time, but that retires the side. Harvey's got 7 in a row, and Harper is now 0 for 20 against Matt Harvey. Nothing across at the end of 5. Nationals 3, Mets 1 on Washington. And Harvey leads off against Jordan Zimmerman in the 6th. Takes a fastball to the knees for a called strike 1. 9-1-2 in the Mets order. Harvey, Granderson, and Cespedes. Zimmerman works quickly. The 0-1 taken inside. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Howie, into this inning, Zimmerman had thrown 25 more pitches than Matt Harvey. I know Harvey's given up 6 hits, 3 runs.
And the 1-1 hit on the ground to third. Backhanded at the shoot tops by Escobar. Slings it across in time to get the jogging Harvey 1 away.
But Harvey's more likely to be in this game for the long haul tonight than Jordan Zimmerman. Both these teams are having bullpen issues right now.
And remember, both of these starting pitchers have had Tommy John surgery as well. And Jordan Zimmerman knows all about what Matt Harvey's going through. Zimmerman had his surgery in August of 2009. And he came back just a little more than a year after the Tommy John surgery. Remember how much longer Harvey took. First pitch to Granderson, in for a called strike, 0-1. And that's where the Mets figure they may have, and Harvey too figures they may have some wiggle room. The 0-1, a fastball outside. 1 ball and 1 strike. Big difference between 12 and 16 and a half, 17 months, which is the differential between Harvey's major league pitching and that of Jordan Zimmerman. And yet, Zimmerman's been fine. Hasn't had quite the year this year the Nationals hoped that he would. The 1-1 breaking ball, good one, in for a called strike. It's 1-2. Mets have only had 2 hits. Solo homer by Wright, leadoff single by d'Arnaud. That was in the 5th, and double play took care of that. 1-2 pitch, check swing at a breaking ball. They appeal to third, and no swing, says Paul Nart. So they count 2-2 to Granderson. Elena Cespedes waiting on deck. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Fastball high, full count. Did you know left turn severely injured 3 times as many pedestrians as right turns? The New York City Vision Zero initiative reminds you, pause and look before you turn. Your choices matter. Outfield straight away. Here's the 3-2 to Granderson. Fouled off to the left downstairs and out of play. Still full to Curtis. Strikes out a lot, walks a lot. 6th most strikeouts in the league. 6th most walks. But he's had a solid season. Now the payoff pitch. Swinging a fly ball, well hit right center. Taylor on the run, going way back. It's over his head. Bounces off the wall. Taylor slid down on the warning track. Now gets up, picks the ball up with Granderson headed to third. Flings it in, and Granderson slides in safely with a 3-base hit. Michael Taylor's had some knee problems, and he went in hard when he slid on that warning track. And he's getting up, checking his left knee. Appears from here to be okay, but Granderson with his 2nd triple of the year. And a runner at third, 1 out for Yoenis Cespedes.
Not only did he slip, then he couldn't locate the baseball. He looked left, he looked right, and in that moment's indecision, that's when Granderson decided, I got 3 out of this. And that's huge, because now all you need is a fly ball to the outfield from Cespedes of any depth. And the Mets are back to within 3-2.
Cespedes today has been robbed of a hit on a nice play by Desmond, the shortstop, and then struck out. A little conference on the mound with the pitcher Zimmerman, the catcher Ramos, the shortstop Desmond. It's funny, a lot of people around baseball now have been kind of comparing what Cespedes is doing for the Mets with what Carlos Gomez has been doing, or relatively speaking, not doing with his new ball club. And we're getting a visit here from Steve McCaddy, the pitching coach, who's on his way to the mound. Well, never mind what is happening between Gomez and the Houston Astros. Cespedes is unique. We'll pause quickly for station ID on the WOR Mets Radio Network.
Win free Mets tickets from Len Berman and Todd Schnitt in the morning. Tomorrow at 7:50 and 8:50 on WOR New York.
Howie Rose, Josh Lewin with you in Washington. 3-1 Washington with Granderson at third, 1 out, and the conference still going on out at the mound here in the 6th inning. But, you know, people are looking at Cespedes now and saying, boy, he's giving the Mets what Don Clendenon did in 1969 and ultimately would become the World Series MVP that year. Funny thing is, the reason the Mets wound up getting Clendenon, although the timing is different from how they didn't get Gomez, is because the Mets came very close to making a deal the previous winter for Joe Torre. It would have cost them Nolan Ryan. Mets would not pull the trigger, and then they wound up getting Clendenon, and that worked out just fine. Well, if Cespedes has been plan B, it's been a dilly. Here he is with the infield back, swings and misses at a first pitch fastball. 0-1, 95 miles an hour from Jordan Zimmerman. He just challenged Cespedes, just tied him up a little bit inside. But the infield's back, conceding the run here. The 0-1 pitch, fastball in, tied on him. Backs him off the plate. The count 1-1 strike.
Matt Thornton already loosening in the Washington bullpen, Howie, as that pitch count is getting up and up for Zimmerman.
96 right now. Remember, Cespedes did not like a couple of calls last time up. The 1-1, fouled back to the screen. He's just being challenged with heat here. That was at 95 in the count 1-2. Cespedes eventually struck out swinging in the 3rd inning. But he wasn't happy with the home plate ump Dana DeMuth, and even said a little something to him as he walked back to the dugout. So the crowd amping it up. Granderson at third with 1 out. 3-1 Washington here in the 6th. Zimmerman kicks and deals. High, ball 2. Another fastball at 95. Your Tri Honda dealers invite you to park like a pro with a standard multi-view rear view camera in a Honda Civic. Check out the great deals now at TryHondaDealers.com. 2-2. The pitch. Swing and a foul ball off to the right out of play. That time he reached for a breaking ball away, and Cespedes has often been vulnerable to those pitches, but that time he fought one off. And the next one that Zimmerman throws will be number 100.
And I wonder if Thornton's going to definitely come in either way, Howie, because Murphy owns Zimmerman.
2-2 the count. Here's the pitch. Swung on and missed, strike 3. Got him with a fastball. 2 men away. You could tell in the Washington dugout, Steve McCaddy had his palms up like, what do we do here? Matt Williams didn't even want to look at him. He's on his way to the mound. Pitch number 100 will be the last thrown by Zimmerman, who gets a vigorous pat on the lower back from his shortstop, Ian Desmond. Granderson at third, 2 men away here in the 6th inning. The lefty Matt Thornton will come on, with the Nationals leading the Mets 3-1, and the pitching change is sponsored by Hyundai. Hyundai's lineup is all hits, no misses, so swing by your local Hyundai dealer today.
Let's talk about being the best. Number 1, the leader of the pack. Let's talk about Hyundai Assurance, including America's best warranty.
3-1 Washington with 2 out in the top of the 6th. Curtis Granderson, the runner at third, and left-hander Matt Thornton comes on to face left-hand hitting Daniel Murphy, who hit a sacrifice fly against Thornton yesterday. 1 for 6 in his career against this hard-throwing left-hander, former Yankee. And so Thornton making his 51st appearance, 1-1 with a 2.60 ERA, faces Murphy, who's flied out twice. Lefty against lefty. The first pitch is a slider outside for ball 1. And this call to the bullpen was brought to you by Lexus of Massapequa and Lexus of Rockville Center. Drive south for savings. Outfield straight up here. Granderson at third, 2 out. The 1-0 pitch. Swing and a fly ball out to deep center. Going back is Taylor. He's got a beat on it. And he makes the catch. Side retired. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, 1 left. Middle of the 6th inning. It's still the Nationals 3 and the Mets 1 on the WOR Mets. Who came out of the pen yesterday. In fact, he was the first of the 5 reliever parade. Trinan getting ready in the bullpen now after Matt Thornton got Daniel Murphy to fly out, leaving Granderson at third. So here's Escobar. Single, grounded to second. Harvey has retired 7 straight. The trail's 3-1. He's allowed 6 hits. First pitch, fastball in tight on him. Ball 1 to the Cuban-born third baseman, Yunel Escobar. Clint Robinson, and hasn't he been a headache tonight? And Ian Desmond, the next 2 hitters. The 1-0, fastball on the inside corner. Escobar doesn't quite see it that way. And the count 1 ball and 1 strike. Dana DeMuth has had a couple of hitters from both teams grumbling at times tonight. 1-1 pitch. Fastball ripped right through the middle. A base hit going into center field. Escobar on a 96-mile-an-hour fastball. And he gives the Nationals a leadoff base runner here in the 6th inning and brings up Robinson. Fans get out to Citi Field on Friday, October 2nd, when the Mets begin what could be a season-defining series against these Washington Nationals. It'll be a free shirt Friday. All fans in attendance get a Mets Know Your Roots t-shirt, courtesy of Avoderm and Nylabone. Purchase tickets at Mets.com/free shirt Fridays. Clint Robinson, 2 out of 2. RBI single in the first, single to center in the third. Left-hand batter, the first pitch, fastball outside, ball 1. The infield tilts to the right against the left-hand batter, who was born in Missouri but grew up in Alabama, went to high school there, Troy University. He had cups of coffee with the Royals and the Dodgers. He's 30 years old. The 1-0 pitch. Fastball outside, 2-0. A 96-mile-an-hour fastball. Harvey's pitch count not nearly an issue, as he has thrown 64 to this point.
That's why this innings count thing drives you wacky. I mean, this could be 8 innings tonight, but only 75 or 80 pitches conceivably.
2-0. Now the pitch. On the inside corner, a 97-mile-an-hour fastball, and the count 2-1 to Robinson. The third baseman, David Wright, mile off the line against the left-hand batter. The shortstop, Flores, is lined up just to the left of second base and right on the edge of the outfield grass, as is Murphy, the second baseman. Duda holding against Escobar at first. Nobody out. And the 2-1 pitch. Outside, ball 3. So Harvey behind here, 3-1. He's walked one batter. That was the number 8 hitter, Michael Taylor, leading off the second inning, and that came back to bite him as Taylor wound up scoring on a 2-out hit by Rendon. 3-1 Washington. Harvey sets at the letters. And the 3-1 pitch. Swing and a miss. 97-mile-an-hour fastball, and the count is full. Now Harvey sneaks a peek at the runner Escobar at first. Will he run on 3-2? Harvey sets. Escobar does not run, and the pitch is high, ball 4. And the Nationals are in business here in the 6th inning. Runners at first and second, nobody out. Now the Mets bullpen has been quiet to this point. There is some milling around down there, and somebody's going to get up. And that's where this pitch count becomes a little bit misleading. It's not so much about stressful pitches or not relative to the number of base runners Matt has had. He's had plenty of base runners, but from the very first pitch he threw tonight, there was stress involved because of everything that's gone on around him over the last 5 days. So by no measure has this been a normal start for Harvey. Not because it's the biggest game he's ever pitched in the major leagues, not because it's simply September, but because he has been in the middle of a storm that has made every pitch magnified more than it probably needed to be. So here's Ian Desmond. Will he be bunting? He just had a chat with the third base coach, Bob Henley. First pitch, he squares, he bunts hard back to the mound. Harvey bobbles the ball, goes to third anyway, way too late, and the bases are loaded. Well, Harvey was just in too much of a rush, and after he bobbled the ball, the only prayer he might have had was to first base. His throw to third way too late to get Escobar, and now he is in some deep soup as the Nationals have the bases loaded and nobody out.
And of all people to bat now, Wilson Ramos, who has 2 career grand slams, one of them against Carlos Torres of the Mets 2 years ago, one of them against Jonathan Neese yesterday afternoon. And a lot of this, Howie Robinson reaching on that walk. He has somehow reached base the last 5 times he's batted against Harvey. Isn't that something? A completely unheralded guy.
Sean Gilmartin and Eric Adell throwing in the Mets bullpen. I've not heard the scoring on that, if that's going to be a sacrifice and an error on Harvey for the bobble or just a fielder's choice. But either way, bases are loaded, nobody out for Ramos. 3-1 Washington in the 6th. Harvey's pitch, fastball fouled back to the screen, 0-1.
Still nothing in from the scorer, who had kind of an off day yesterday anyway.
Well, there was a ridiculous scoring decision on a base hit that was credited off the glove of Ruben Tejada, which, in just about the opinion of everyone I spoke to, should have been an error. That was hit by Desmond. Doesn't matter now, though. All that matters is, can Harvey get Ramos here? Now, the middle infielders are back. They'll trade a run for 2 outs. Nobody out here in the 6th. The 0-1 to Ramos. Swing and a miss at the fastball. And the count 0-2. Well, there's no error or hit up on the board. Maybe they're just calling it a fielder's choice. And the bases loaded as the result of Desmond reaching on what was a bobble by Matt Harvey. Ramos has struck out and grounded to second. Harvey ahead of him, 0-2. Matt finds the grip behind his back as he leans into d'Arnaud. Comes set. The 0-2 pitch. Fastball in there. Strike 3 called. Throws him with a 98-mile-an-hour fastball. So that's 1 out. Still a pretty steep hill in front of Harvey. You've got Michael Taylor now. And then they'll obviously hit for Thornton with a bullpen up. And immediately, Matt Dendecker, the former Met, who had a big hit for the Nationals last week in a game against Atlanta, pops into the on-deck circle.
Well, that right there was the heart of a lion he wanted to see out of Matt Harvey. After his own bobble made a mess, he strikes out Met killer Wilson Ramos on 3 pitches.
It's his 6th strikeout of the game, and now here is Taylor, who walked and scored and tapped in front of the plate and was thrown out by d'Arnaud. Now the middle infielders move up a bit. They're halfway. Taylor, very good speed. Bases loaded, 1 out. First pitch, fastball line foul into the second deck. Actually reaches the upper deck behind first base, and the count 0-1. Taylor has hit .345 with men in scoring position. That's odd because it's over 100 points more than his batting average for the year. But Escobar's at third, Robinson at second, Desmond at first, 1 out. 3-1 Nationals. We're in the 6th. Outfield straight away. Harvey sets. Here's the 0-1. Fastball line to center, base hit. Escobar scores. Robinson to third. The ball overrun by Cespedes. It goes all the way to the wall. Everybody might score. Robinson's in. Desmond's in. Around third, digging for the plate. Taylor. He will score standing. 4 runs come home. I'm sure there'll be an error on the play. You can't call that an inside the park grand slam, but it does the same amount of damage. 4 runs score. Cespedes overran the base hit to center, and it is 7-1 Nationals here in the 6th inning. It's a single, 1 run batted in, and an error on Cespedes accounts for the other runs.
It's the worst night that Cespedes has had as a Met. With what's happened at the plate and obviously what just happened in the field, the ball just snaked right by him, and it's so deep to that very deepest part in center. What a lonely feeling, I'm sure, for Cespedes as he just turned and had to run back to pick it up. Taylor continues to get it done with runners in scoring position. Here comes Terry Collins.
So Matt Harvey will lead. Realistically, it was going to be at least 4-1 and probably 5. But that misplay creates 4 runs as Harvey walks off with 1 out, nobody on here in the last of the 6th inning, of the Nationals leading 7-1. This pitching change is sponsored by the New York Lottery. Make the most of the numbers in front of you every day. Play Win 4 and numbers from the New York. Turner and Goodell. And Goodell's first pitch, a fastball for a called strike, 0-1. So it is 7-1 Washington. Harvey, in the best case scenario there, after the base hit by Taylor, would have had a 4th run in against him with the bases loaded. The 0-1 on the way, a breaking ball over for a called strike, 0-2, and conceivably might have come out of the game anyway at that point with Matt Dendecker at the moment, that moment anyway, on deck to pinch hit. Now they've changed to Turner. And the 0-2, a breaking ball on the outside corner, strike 3 called. So Goodell picks up the strikeout from the first batter he faces, and with 2 out, nobody on, Jason Worth the batter. So Harvey will get credit for 5 1/3 innings, giving up a total of 8 hits and 7 runs. We'll compute the earned runs at the end of this inning. He walked 2, and Harvey struck out 6. And now Goodell takes over for him with the Mets in a 7-1 hole. Pitch to Worth, who's glad to see anybody but Harvey in there. A breaking ball low, 1-0. Worth struck out 3 times against Matt Harvey. So for Goodell, this is his 26th appearance this year in the big leagues. The 1-0 fastball is high. 2 balls and no strikes. He's 0-1 with a 2.05 earned run average. And he, too, will get an opportunity for some more work in situations that might have gone to Carlos Torres, who's out indefinitely now with a calf injury. 2-0 pitch. Breaking ball. That's over for a called strike. It's 2-1. Again, the Mets have also brought Tim Stauffer up from Las Vegas as their season is over. Dilson Herrera has rejoined the club as well, and Johnny Manel comes here from Vegas too. 38 players on hand now. 2-1 fastball in tight, 3 balls and 1 strike. And I mean, we've talked the subject ad nauseum already. We don't need to elaborate on it anymore, but 38 players in a Major League clubhouse, especially in the most important games of the year, is kind of silly. I just wonder if that rule will change with the next CBA. Here's the 3-1. Fastball line towards the gap in right center. Granderson over. He won't reach it. It's in for a hit. Plays the carom on the warning track off the wall. Worth to second. And he's in there standing with a well-struck double. So that's the 9th hit of the game for the Nationals. Gives them another runner in scoring position with 2 out, and Anthony Rendon coming up.
And should render all of the runs allowed now against Harvey's Ledger earned, which will make 7 tonight. And keep in mind, Howie, he had allowed 6 earned runs ever against Washington in 8 prior starts, about 56 innings. But he'll have topped that tonight in 5 1/3.
Again, in the biggest game of his big league career. 0.99 earned run average coming in against Washington this year. Quite a bit higher going out. So here's Rendon. That was the ERA not only for the year but also his career against Washington. First pitch, Rendon takes low outside, ball 1. Rendon has singled twice, scored a run, and grounded to second. Former first-round pick out of Rice University, and a time called at home plate. Let's also have lefty Sean Gilmartin throwing in the bullpen. That might well be for the guy on deck, Bryce Harper, also known as Bryce 0 for 20 against Matt Harper. So he'll be thrilled not to see Matt in there. But the Nationals certainly weren't intimidated. Not even close. They put 2 runs on the board in the first inning. And Harvey has a blank expression on his face in the Mets dugout. The 1-0. Fastball popped up foul, coming straight back out of play downstairs in the count. 1 ball and 1 strike to Rendon.
I never bought bulletin board material, that kind of motivation that much, Howie. But, you wonder how the Nationals react when they hear all this talk nationally about, the Mets and what happens when they get into the postseason. I think the Nationals, my guess is some of them say, wait a minute, when? You guys aren't there yet.
Well, that talk was going on before yesterday as well, and the Mets wound up winning. Tonight, much different story so far. A 1-1 fastball low and outside, 2-1.
The bottom line is the Nationals are a good team. They're a little dinged up too, Ryan Zimmerman is out for the foreseeable future, it would appear, with that oblique issue. It's going to be a pretty interesting last few weeks.
2-1 to Rendon. Worth at second, 2 out. 7-1 Washington here in the 6th. 4 runs are home in the inning. 2-1 pitch. Fastball hits the outside edge. It's 2-2.
And by the way, it's not like the Mets were popping off about playoffs. There was a certain agent who kind of brought it all up for discussion. I don't think Matt Harvey was out there talking about it first.
2-2. Goodell drops down to his waist. Now the pitch. Swung on and missed, strike 3. Got him with a breaking ball. Side retired. However, 4 runs score. There were 3 hits, 1 huge error, and 1 man left at the end of 6 innings. It's the Nationals 7, the Mets 1 on the WOR Mets Radio Network, driven by your Tri-Honda dealers.
My name is John O'Brien. I got a Purple Heart and Brown Star in Iraq.
And the daily narrative will take a new twist and a different turn once the Mets clubhouse opens and Harvey is left to explain what happened on the field tonight and maybe some other stuff. And it's going to be interesting to see his reaction and how that all plays out. But the Mets have a lot of coming back to do as we start the 7th inning, Josh.
Yeah, and I know this won't play real well with all the cynics out there, but this game's not over. This is 7-1, I understand. But here in the 7th, a pitch right inside to David Wright swivels out of the way. Blake Trinan makes a statement, whether or not he meant to do that or not. He's got everybody's attention in that dugout all of a sudden. The pitch buzzed the tower of the captain. Trinan, a 3.54 ERA, handles righties very well. A 189 average against them. 1-0 pitch is high, 2-0. Lefties, though, hit 351 against him. The Mets have made it a habit to come back from large deficits. Post-All-Star break. Just throwing that out there. 2-0 pitch is outside. It's 3-0. And if there's anybody out there to take that first step down the parade route, it would be David Wright. On 3-0, Trinan in with the pitch, and it's down the chute for strike one. When the Mets fell behind 2-0 tonight, it was David Wright who powered about a 420-foot home run to left field. Still the only run they've got right now. 3-1 is cracked into right field, down for a base hit. And once again, it's the captain that says, all right, let's go. Leadoff man is on, Lucas Duda coming up. The Washington bullpen, again, I'm not trying to be Mr. Sunny Sunshine here. I'm just pointing something out. The Washington bullpen has not been good. Not for a while. We certainly saw that yesterday, and Matt Williams is getting a lot of abuse here locally for how he's handling that bullpen. But when he went to it yesterday, the Mets immediately got 3 runs in the 7th to win. Long climb back tonight at 7-1 for Washington. Here's Duda. And the pitch to him, taken on the inside corner, strike one. Lucas, in his return to the lineup, 0 for 2 tonight, has struck out and popped out. It's been 43 at-bats since his last home run. That was hit against tonight's starter Jordan Zimmerman, who did a great job out there tonight. Although the Mets really worked him. The 0-1 is hit in the air towards left. And chasing it is Worth. He'll get there. Moving just a little bit now to his right side. He makes the catch in left field for out number 1 in the inning. But give this to the Mets here, even though they didn't do much in terms of scoring against Zimmerman. They certainly did enough to get him out of the game early. Forced him to throw 100 pitches. He faced only 20 batters, so that's 5 pitches per AB. Travis d'Arnaud will bat 1 on, 1 out. If the Mets do not rally, it'll be back to a 4-game advantage. And suddenly a really big start for Jacob deGrom tomorrow against Steven Strasburg. 7:05 first pitch tomorrow. Pitch here to d'Arnaud is inside 1-0. Mets will head on to Atlanta after the game tomorrow. It's a 4-game series against a team that's just been completely wiped out of late. Though they did win yesterday. The Braves stopped a 12-game losing streak. They had been 2-26 in their last 28 road games. And pulled one out last night. 1-0 pitch outside, 2-0 to d'Arnaud. He's 1 out of 2 tonight. And the catcher Ramos out to the mound. Shortstop Desmond out there now, too. As it's gone to 2-0, and I'm sure somebody's reminding Trinan here, hey, we had a 6-run lead. Final line on Harvey, 8 hits in 5 1/3, 7 runs allowed, all of them earned. Those last couple are earned only because of that double with the bases clear, given up by the man that followed him into the game, Eric Goodell. But it's the 3rd time this year Harvey's given up 7 earned runs in a game. And certainly at a most inopportune time tonight. Here's a 2-0, taken, and it's ladled in for a strike on the inside, 2-1. And it will be interesting to see what Harvey has to say, if anything, to the media. There's no guarantee he's going to face the music, although you certainly hope that he would.
If he doesn't, he's only going to make matters worse.
Right. Infield, the double play depth, 2-1 is looped in the air, shallow left field. Shortstop going back. Desmond there makes a one-hand catch, 2 down. Representation for Matt Harvey was seen in town today. Not Scott Boras himself, but a couple of his assistants, including Don Carmen, the former pitcher who was also the sports psychologist that Matt Harvey uses. So he's certainly got people that care about him around him here. And how many more starts Matt Harvey gets and when he's going to get them, that's still all to be fleshed out. Right now, it's simply a matter of trying to come back on his behalf in this game. Here's Conforto with 1 on, 2 out. And the youngster takes outside 1-0. 7-1 here. The scoreboard update from out of town, sponsored by the New York Lottery. Make the most of the numbers in front of you every day. Play Win 4 numbers from the New York Lottery. Get to that in just a sec. The 1-0 pitch, first of all, to Conforto is high, 2-0 again. Baltimore and the Yankees tied 1-1. A-Rod tied it up with a home run, his 30th, after a Ryan Flaherty home run in the 6th inning. Toronto and Boston also 1-1 in the 6th. Yankees and Toronto tied in the loss column, the top of the AL East. 2-0 runs inside to Conforto, 3-0. And again, Trinan consistently behind here. although his team is way ahead. Trinan out of South Dakota State University. The Jackrabbits. 3-0 pitch is low, ball 4. So the Mets have 2 on. Flores, a power hitter, coming up. And let's pause for station ID on the WOR Mets Radio Network, driven by your Tri-Honda dealers.
I'm Kathleen Maloney, WOR New York. Sharpen the pencils and pack up the backpacks. It's back to school tomorrow morning for New York City Public Schools. More after the game.
As Blake Trinan continues to struggle a bit to throw strikes, he's going to get a visit from the pitching coach here out there on the mound, Steve McCaddy, on his way as the Nationals bullpen will get busy again. Coming to you live from the Bigelow Tea broadcast booth. Bigelow, family tea blender since 1945. The Nationals will get Matt Grace up, it would appear.
Luis Rivera, the lefty, is throwing too.
Nationals had a 2-0 lead in this one after 1 inning. David Wright came back with a long home run to left. Made it 2-1. The Nationals jumped back with another run in the bottom of the 2nd inning. And it stayed 3-1 until the very eventful bottom of the 6th. Matt Harvey with 2 on and nobody out bobbled a sac bunt back to him. All hands on deck were safe. He struck out Wilson Ramos like it was no big deal. 3 pitches and good night. But then Michael Taylor, who's only playing because Denard Span is hurt, the number 8 batter, rammed a single up the middle, overrun by Yoenis Cespedes, and everybody scored on the play. So that's why it's 7-1. But here's Flores. He can bring the Mets back with a long ball here. Trinan winds and fires way outside 1-0. He is, again, just not getting that fastball over. Washington has won 13 out of 20 to jump back into the race. Runners away from first and second. 1-0 pitch taken on the inside corner now. It's 1-1. Zimmerman, Thornton, and Trinan now. Those have been the pitchers so far. Flores is 2 for 4 against Trinan this year. Infield back with 2 out. Right-handed Trinan in with a pitch taken, and it cuts outside 2-1. So again, stake to a 7-1 lead. Trinan appears to be nibbling a bit. He's getting close to 20 pitches in the inning. Room in left center for Flores. Here's a 2-1. Swing and it's fouled right back 2-2. Now the crowd here tonight certainly not leaving as a great big parting of the Red Sea like they did yesterday in the 7th. That ground the gears of Bryce Harper yesterday. So he popped off to the media about the fans leaving early. 2 on, 2 out. The 2-2 pitch taken inside, and the fans kind of hoot and holler here. They thought that was in there. Now the runners will get a head start. Kelly Johnson has moved out on deck. As again, we remind you, the Nationals bullpen, not exactly a killer entity of late. Trinan working hard. Payoff pitch due to Flores. And with the runners going, here it comes. Swinging, it's belted foul down near third. Mets hit Trinan hard all through spring training. They did the same to Tanner Roark, too. I was very instructive, actually, back in spring training when the Mets ran off 5 straight wins against Washington. You can say it's only spring training, but it kind of put it in everybody's heads. Not again. Not this year. Not 4-15 coming up. Mets indeed are 8-6 against Washington so far. 3-2 pitch. Swinging a base hit into center field as it rolls towards Taylor. 1 run scores. It'll be runners at the corners now, and the Mets are back to within 7-2. So, again, the Nationals bullpen not real trustworthy of late. Flores hung on and finally rolled one right up the middle to score David Wright. You've now got Conforto at third, and Kelly Johnson comes up. Johnson hit a home run yesterday.
If Matt Williams doesn't go to his bullpen here, why is Rivero and here he comes now. He was a little late coming up the steps. Rivero had been throwing long enough, but Matt Williams is going to make the lefty-lefty move, and we'll see if Terry counters with a right-handed bat.
It's uncanny. It just seems every move to the bullpen Matt Williams has been making this last month is exactly wrong. But he goes to the bullpen here in a 7-2 game. This pitching chain is sponsored by Unified Windows, Doors, Siding, and Roofing. Juan Uribe will pinch hit instead of Kelly Johnson because now there's a lefty on the mound, Felipe Rivero. He's in a hot spot, but don't you sweat it. Luxair will keep you cool all summer long. Go to LuxairCares.com. Runners at the corners. Mets back to within 7-2. Lefty to righty here, and the pitch wanders inside. 1 ball, no strikes. Washington was gifted a 4-run bottom of the 6th on the 3-base fielding error charged against Cespedes. And now the Mets are chipping back. They have scored once. Runners at first and third, 2 out. And Rivero with an ERA around 3 for the year. From the third base side of the rubber, he rocks and fires. Swing, and it's blasted foul out of play right side, 1-1. 27,507 paying to see this one tonight. They saw Matt Harvey give up 3 early and then 4 late. More action now in the Washington pen. Mets getting action going too. Busy bullpens yesterday. 1-1 pitch running inside, 2-1. There was a stretch in the game yesterday where over a span of 11 batters between the Nationals and the Mets, we saw 8 different pitchers. And that is September baseball. Those 2.5-hour games are not happening these days. Rivero in with a 2-1, taken. Inside, 3 balls, 1 strike, and Curtis Granderson on deck. Rivero stalks around a little bit now.
Drew Storen's up in the Washington bullpen, meaning that after Rivero, looks like Matt Williams, unless Rivero gets out of this inning and he goes to someone else in the 8th, would be content to get his 2 best into the game.
To the belt, Rivero. Now the 3-1 pitch taken, and it runs inside, ball 4. They're loaded up. And again, as bad as you felt as a Met fan, I'm sure, after Taylor was circling the bases and 4 runs were scoring, and it was 7-1 Washington, you really do have to know that the Washington bullpen has been struggling, especially of late. They strand only about 67% of inherited runners. That is right near the bottom in the National League. Here's Granderson now. Now, he hasn't hit lefties well at all this season. But he's up there with the bases full. The pitch outside, it's 1-0. And these fans are starting to get a little restless here. We've already seen Trinan in the game, couldn't throw strikes, and here's Rivero, same deal.
But there's really no more decision to be made for Matt Williams if Granderson gets on, other than to go to Storen and have him handed off to Papelbon, unless the Mets really put something together.
If Granderson does get on, that means Cespedes would be able to atone right away potentially for that error. He'd be up as a tying man. Bases full of Mets. A 1-0 count to Granderson. The rock and the pitch. Swing a little dribbler foul up near third. It's 1-1. Granderson hitting only about $160 against lefties. That's the problem. But he's got 23 home runs. And tonight he has walked and tripled. He's been about a .290 hitter since the 4th of July. 1 run already in. Conforto at third, Flores at second, Uribe at first. And on 1-1, here comes. Inside, 2 balls, 1 strike.
It's a breaking ball, and he almost hit him with it. That's how badly he missed.
The lefty Rivero wearing the you gotta believe season number on his back, 73. Room in right center for Granderson. He's ahead in the count, 2-1. The pitch taken just off the plate outside. It's 3-1.
If he walks Granderson, Storen's got to come into this game, you would think.
Yep. And boy, wouldn't that be something for Cespedes to be able to stand up there as the tying man after all that's happened tonight. Because right now it's all about what is Matt Harvey going to say after the game. Incredibly, that could be a sidebar if the Mets are able to come back from down 7-1. 3-1 to Granderson. Here's Rivero's pitch taken, and it's outside, ball 4 at 7-3. Cespedes will bat as the tying man. So even the most hardened cynics have to rub their eyes now and refocus. Matt Williams comes out as again his bullpen fails him. Cespedes will be able to potentially tie this game when he comes to the plate. Drew Storen's coming on. It is now 7-3. 2 down, 7th inning on the WOR Mets Radio Network, driven by your Tri-Honda dealers. Well, Matt Williams can't pull his hair out. He's already bald. But in this inning, which started 7-1, Washington on top, 7 Mets have come up. There's been a first pitch strike to 1 of the 7. And now Drew Storen comes in. Bases loaded. The tying man is, that's right, Yoenis Cespedes, who's had a rare rough night as a Met tonight. He has struck out twice. He overran a ball in center, leading to 3 runs. Now he can cash in with 4 runs with 1 big swing. Drew Storen will deliver. And he misses outside with a slider, 1-0. Storen has been the calm in the bullpen storm for Washington. His ERA 3.17, 3 homers allowed in 54 innings, and he seldom walks anybody. But even he's caught the virus here. It is 1-0 to Cespedes. Already 2 runs in. Here's a 1-0 pitch. Swing and a shot down the left field line. Fair ball. 1 run in. 2 runs in. Granderson steamrolls around. He's coming home. It's a bases clearing double. Yoenis Cespedes has made it 7-6. And the Met fans are being heard from now. 1 more hit in the inning, the Mets will tie it. If they hit it out, they go ahead. They answer. The Nationals had 4 in the bottom of inning 6. The Mets have 5 with the meter still running in the top of the 7th.
I don't know about you, but I am flat out of superlatives or adjectives to describe what Yoenis Cespedes has done.
Even on his worst night, he comes through. And it's no longer his worst night. Daniel Murphy now. The bullpen blowing up again for Washington. Here's the pitch. Murphy takes, and a first pitch strike at the knees, 0-1. Can they get Matt Harvey off the hook? On the day that Cespedes was told that, yeah, the Mets will negotiate with him, a little bit longer window being extended to him now when the season is over. Bases clearing double to make it 7-6, and the pitch is outside to Murphy. It's 1-1. David Wright, who started all this, is on deck, and let's not forget about that. When it was 7-1, we said it at the time, up stepped the captain, and he banged a base hit, and was almost tacitly telling the guys, hey, let's go. This game's not over. Cespedes' big lead off his second. Here's a 1-1 to Murphy. Taken. Off-speed strike on the outside corner, 1-2. A 5-run inning. That's what John Neese gave up yesterday, and it seemed to doom the Mets, but they came back from that. Another stirring Met comeback. They're close, but they're not quite there yet. It's 7-6. Big lead for Cespedes again. Storen checks him out, now deals a 1-2. Taken low, boxed around a bit by Ramos, but he's back on top of it. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Triton started the inning, and he simply didn't have it. Was falling behind everybody, gave up a couple of hits, gave up a couple of walks. Well, the walks have been the currency here this inning. The Mets have 3 of them, including 1 with the bases loaded. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. 5 runs in. Now the wind and the pitch taken. Just missed a little bit low. And another 3-ball count. And David Wright getting ready on deck. And Murphy takes a very deep breath. He's right at the very back corner of the batter's box. Bangs that bat down on home plate, swings it once to practice. Now looking out at Storen. He's ready. Storen's ready. And on 3-2, Cespedes walks the lead off of second. The wind up, the pitch. Swinging a rifle shot, just foul down the first base line. Well, a slider that had a lot of the plate.
And there's not a whole lot of room down that first base line. In fact, there's hardly any, with Robinson effectively guarding the line against the left-hand hitter Murphy. Remember, though, Robinson, a left-handed first baseman, wears that glove on his right hand, so he's got to go across his body to make a play on a ball down the line. I always think of that as the Keith Hernandez play, because no left-handed first baseman was ever better at taking hits away down the line than Keith was.
Murphy, 2 of 12 lifetime against Storen, has worked it to 3-2. 7-6 ball game. Now the pitch. It is low, ball 4, and up comes the captain. The 10th man to bat in the inning. And again, you just can't emphasize it enough, I don't think. David Wright, yesterday, started and completed the comeback. He tried to start a little mini comeback in the second inning tonight when the Mets were down 2-0. He hit a long home run, made it 2-1. He kick-started this comeback in the 7th. Leadoff single. And from there, well, after a couple of outs were made, it was a walk, a single, a walk, a double, a walk. 5 runs are in, 7-6 the score, and the go-ahead man now stands at first base. Wright is 2 for 3 tonight. He's actually hit Storen pretty well. In fact, the last 6 times he's faced him, he's got 4 hits, including a triple. Cespedes, the man that brought him back with the key double, is that tying man at second. Murphy, remember, with that tender quad, doesn't run real well these days. He's at first. David Wright in the box and ready. Here's Storen to the plate. Way outside, it gets away. Ramos has to retrieve it back at the screen. A wild pitch, and the runners move up. The tying man at third, the go-ahead man at second. And again, with these New York Mets, and sometimes they get a little bit of help from the opposition. That's certainly the case here in this inning. But they're never out of it anymore. This was a team that was averaging 3 runs a game right around the All-Star break. They got 5 in this inning. And it's a 7-6 score. They're back to within a run. 1 ball, no strikes. Outfield back a step. And now the pitch from Storen, taken low, 2-0. And Storen kind of slaps at the ball as he gets it back. Big Lucas Duda on deck. All the Mets, and there are so many of them now with all the call-ups, are all on the top step of the dugout on that third base side. Boy, they are in the heads of these Washington Nationals. The 2-0 delivery. Way outside, 3-0. And it almost got away again. In fact, it kicked off of Ramos's right leg. Ended up just to the outside of his left leg. Now, David Wright, not usually a guy who dials it up 3-0. And Storen has been wild, just like the rest of them here. So you figure he's taking. David has scored 13 runs in the 12 games he's played in since coming off the DL. That long, long wait to get back. 131 days he missed. And this is what he lives for right here. 7-6 Washington. Second and third, 2 out. And the 3-0 from Storen taken all the way, strike 1 at the knees. Well, Bryce Harper, who chided the crowd for leaving in the 7th inning yesterday, listens to their sarcasm now that they've stayed. Cheering a simple strike right there at 95 from Storen. First base open. 5 runs in. 7-6 Washington here in the 7th inning. Storen has the sign, rocks and deals. Low, it's ball 4. They're loaded up. And Lucas Duda to the plate. No place to put him. You can hear the natives are fairly restless, huh?
Well, you know, there's a couple of ways to look at this. And Steve McCatty is going to examine another angle. He's going to go out and try to settle down Drew Storen. This is Duda's first game in nearly 3 weeks. And although he's 0 for 3 tonight, and he's popped up weakly to short and struck out and flied out, he hit some long batting practice home runs. Now, I don't necessarily think that's relevant at all, but when you see, if you had the opportunity, maybe you've got a radio or you're listening to the ballpark, you could just imagine the configuration of this place. You could imagine him hitting ball after ball into the second deck in right field, even against batting practice pitches. You know, at least he's loose enough to where if he gets a hold of one, it can go a long way. But the truth of the matter is, right now, a little bloop would probably give the Mets the lead.
The 11th man to bat in the inning due to trying to not make 2 of the 3 outs in the inning, which has been an incredible inning with 5 runs in. 7-6 Washington. Here's the pitch. Taken. And it's low for ball 1. This really is remarkable how often the Nationals are starting 1-0. They have had to throw 50 pitchers in this inning already. Duda had a torrid stretch very recently. The Nationals were in the crosshairs for part of it. The 1-0, low and inside, it almost hit him. 2 balls and no strikes. Remember, Zimmerman, a control guy, was in control out there on the mound tonight. But in this inning, Trinan walked 1, Rivero 2, Storen 2 so far. This is already a 5-walk inning, and they led 7-1 coming into this inning. Bases full of blue-shirted New York Mets. The 2-0 to Duda. He takes it inside. It's 3-0. This is remarkable. And we know the bullpen has been an issue for the Nationals. But they're all but putting this on a platter for the Mets all of a sudden. A game they led 7-1. 3 balls, no strikes to Duda, who's got a huge strike zone. Here's the pitch. He takes it inside. This game's tied. Drew Storen walks another one. Cespedes trots home, touches home plate. It's 7-up. And Matt Williams looks like he'd rather be anywhere right now besides that Washington dugout. Cespedes getting all kinds of hand slaps. His booming double is what got the Mets in business here. It is now a 6-run top of the 7th. And there is action again in the Washington pen. Storen is supposed to be about the most trustworthy guy they have, and he's walked 3 in a row.
And now he's no longer the bridge, at least in this game, to their closer Papelbon, because there is no save situation available with a tie game. So left-hander Matt Grace is getting ready in the bullpen for Michael Conforto, presumably, who follows d'Arnaud. Now remember, d'Arnaud had a great chance in Miami on Sunday in a bases-loaded situation in the top of the 9th inning, but he grounded into a double play. Well, the Mets were down there by a run. Here that game was tied. Here, tied again, an opportunity for redemption, even separated by 48 hours.
8 straight 2-out base runners for the New York Mets. They have scored 6 times. They have the bases loaded. And Travis d'Arnaud ready. The pitch. Outside 1-0. And again, unable to get a first pitch strike for these Washington Nationals. Storen, who usually is a strike thrower, has been 14 balls and 5 strikes since coming in. An inning where he wasn't supposed to be anywhere close to being out there on the mound. Conforto would bat next. Here's a rock in the 1-0 pitch. Taken outside with the slider, 2-0. You talk about slip sliding away. It's getting way away from Storen and Washington. These fans were singing and laughing after they scored 4 in the bottom of the 6th to take a 7-1 lead. Now it is 7-7. The bases are loaded. And the 2-0 to d'Arnaud. He swings and he pops it in the air. Foul ground. The catcher Ramos coming back. He is out of room. It goes 4 rows back into the crowd. Looked like it was a strike. And by the way, just according to Pitch Tracker here, I'm just taking a peek. Those first 2 pitches of this sequence to d'Arnaud, those could have been strikes.
Storen was visibly upset with the second one. It's funny, from up here, we're so high and a little bit to the right of home plate, we don't get a true angle.
Darno is 1 for 3 tonight. Bases loaded. Murphy down the line at third. He's a go-ahead man. The pitch. He's hit in the air, right center field towards the gap. Harper going over, makes the catch. Oh boy, off the bat it looked like a double. And Harper, who was shaded a bit towards center, took 5, maybe 6 quick steps, grabbed it on the run. The inning is over. But what a statement by the Mets. And in a weird way, what a statement by the Washington Nationals, who could not throw a strike to save their lives. The 7th inning stretch presented by New York Presbyterian Hospital. Amazing things are happening here. That's really the tagline. Amazing things are happening here. For more information, visit nyp.org. How right they are. Amazing things are happening here as well. Josh Lewin and Howie Rose with you. The Mets have stormed back with a little bit of help from a tattered Washington bullpen. A 6-run top of the 7th inning. And the Mets have drawn even 7-7, but now Bryce Harper to lead things off in the bottom of the 7th. He made a nice running catch to make sure the Mets wouldn't take the lead a couple minutes ago. Harper is beyond due against the New York Mets. Addison Reed to face him. And he pours one outside, 1-0. Reed, the acquisition from the Arizona Diamondbacks, kind of flickered on and off this year in terms of his reliability. So far as a Met, we've seen good things. Outfield very deep against Harper. MVP candidate. Rocking the 1-0 pitch, taken on the outside corner, 1-1. The Mets have kept Bryce very much out of the picture over the last several times the Mets and Nationals have played. As great as Harper's numbers are this year, he hasn't done much against New York over the last 7 games. Swings here and drives it foul back to the net, 1-2. 30 plate appearances in a row. Harper has failed to get anything more than a single against New York Met pitching. Tonight he has fouled out and bounced out twice. That was all against Matt Harvey, against whom he's now 0 for 20 in his career. Harvey off the hook with a 6-run top of the 7th by his teammates, who absolutely picked him up tonight. The right-hander Reed with a 1-2 pitch way outside, 2-2. Harvey and his failure tonight will no longer be the only thing talked and written about. Whatever happens from here, the fact that the Mets were down 7-1 and tied it 7-7, that in and of itself is pretty remarkable. If they win it, it's an epic, epic game. 2-2 is outside, though. It's a full count to Harper.
And the Mets desperately need a shutdown inning here to try and continue whatever momentum you can build within the scope of a baseball game. But that would be a big statement here, and individually as well for Addison Reed trying to nail down 7th inning work.
3-2 to Bryce Harper. Swing and a miss. He got him with a slider. A hard slider. And Harper again strikes out. That happened to him 3 times yesterday. So with a chance for a Harper to make a statement in this series, he's been very quiet so far. And up comes Yunel Escobar. Jonathan Papelbon, by the way, is getting loose in the bullpen now. They might need to stretch him out tonight. The Mets are in pretty good shape. They've got Familia available tonight for the 9th. And yes, they do have Tyler Clippard for the 8th. It's a very simple job for Reed. They're telling him to construct that rope bridge so that everybody can climb to the 8th inning and give it to Tyler Clippard. The pitch missing outside here to Escobar, 1-0. He's 2 out of 3 tonight. Nissan, an easier choice than ever with their most exciting fuel-efficient lineup. Get great offers across their full line. Shop at your local Nissan store and choose Nissan.com. 7-7 tie in the bottom of the 7th. Escobar checks his swing and takes low. It's 2-0. It's pretty staggering, Howie, that every reliever in this game is 1-0, 2-0. In that last inning, the Mets sent 12 men to the plate, and 2 of them saw a first pitch strike. 2-0 is ground up the middle. Tough play. It's going to squirt into center, base hit. Murphy couldn't quite get it. Flores couldn't quite get it. Both men reaching out. And just cut right through the 2 of them. So that's a 3-hit night for Escobar. who's actually 21 for his last 43. That, I think, is pretty telltale. Clint Robinson will bat. And you'd think that this would be a guy that you don't have to really worry about that much. 30-year-old who's never done anything in the big leagues until this year, other than come up sometimes in September for a couple of different organizations. But he's actually been on base the last 5 times that he has faced the New York Mets now. 2 for 2 with a walk tonight. Big left-hand batter. The pitch to him is low, 1-0. So again, it's not just the Nationals that are having a tough time throwing a first pitch strike. But a very tough hitter, Ian Desmond, on deck. Granderson deep and right. Wind in the 1-0 pitch taken. Slider is inside, 2-0. Again, that top of the 7th inning, David Wright started it with a single, and it seemed harmless at the time, especially after Duda flied out and d'Arnaud popped out. But then the walk by Conforto, who continues to show wisdom beyond his years. Tough at bat to win that walk. 2-0 pitch low, 3 balls, no strikes. Wilmer Flores singled in a run. Uribe a pinch walk. Granderson a bases loaded walk. Cespedes the big bases loaded double to knock in 3. Murphy a walk. Wright a walk. Duda a walk. That one when the bases loaded. That's why we are now 7-7 in inning 7 here in D.C. Wright made a quick trip to the mound to talk to Reed, who brings a 3-0 and pours it right down the middle, 3-1. Robinson could be a key player for the Nationals going forward. If there's anything to Ryan Zimmerman's oblique injury, this could be the Nationals' first baseman down the stretch. 1 on, 1 out. The set by Reed, the 3-1 is taken on the outside corner. Barely clipped that corner, 3-2.
Well, now do you run Escobar here? I have a feeling Matt Williams will.
It would be Flores taking the throw at second base. Murphy pulled around. The pitch hit on the ground, back of the bag. The only play to first, and they get it there in time. That is out number 2. Murphy had such a long way to go from his position at second to get to the bag. Flores was able to gobble it up behind that second base sack out there. And though he looked at second base, he saw Murphy was never going to make it. So he did the right thing, just whipped it on to first. Go-ahead man at second base now for Desmond. This copyrighted broadcast presented by authority of Sterling Mets may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of the game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Sterling Mets. Mets actually in better shape bullpen-wise the rest of the way tonight. Here's the pitch, and Desmond takes outside 1-0. By my count, Howie, of the last 18 batters in this game, 2 of them have seen a first pitch strike. That doesn't really feel like pennant race baseball.
Nope.
Mets do have a 5-game lead in the NL East. 1-0 pitch. Swing and a miss, 1-1. Addison Reed, the native of San Diego, actually from outside of San Diego, went to San Diego State. Was Steven Strasburg's closer in college. We will see Strasburg starting tomorrow for the Nats. A 7:05 first pitch. Tie game 7-7, bottom 7. Pitch to Desmond. Rip and a miss. It's 1-2. Fastball to the inside corner. Reed, a hulking right-hander, dark-haired. Actually kind of brown-haired, I guess, light brown. Working with Travis d'Arnaud, another native Californian. And Ian Desmond trying to change the tenor of this game. Mets having scored 6 in the top of the 7th inning after the Nats got 4 in the bottom of the 6th. Cespedes led in 3 runs with his glove and then won 3 of them right back with his bat. Outfield straight away, maybe a step back. The 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. He got him. And Addison Reed shows some emotion. He pumps his fist David Wright style as he walks off the mound. The Nationals get a mild threat going, but they do not score. And there's that shutdown inning that you wanted. This game is at the end of 7, and it's anybody's ball game. It's the Mets 7, the Nationals 7 on the WOR Mets Radio Network, driven by your Tri-Honda dealers. He's got only 9 walks against his ledger this year. He has struck out 50. He's an all-star closer, brought in from the Phillies in late July. He's the only perfect closer in the majors this year, 23 for 23. But here's the rub. This isn't the 9th inning, and this isn't a save situation. This is a tie game. It is 7-7 because the Mets storm back with a 6-run top of the 7th. Michael Conforto is part of it. He will lead things off in the 8th. And now, here to tell you about it the rest of the way, here's Howie Rose.
All right, Josh, thank you very much. So, Conforto, 0 for 2 with a walk and a run scored. And Papelbon, the right-hander, delivers. And a high fly ball hit to shallow left center. Backpedaling Espinoza, the new shortstop. In comes Taylor, the center fielder, to make the catch, 1 man away. The Nationals double switched Papelbon into the game. So the pitcher spot is now 6th in the order. That's where Ian Desmond was. And Espinoza, who has become a pretty valuable man off the bench for the Nationals, is at shortstop. That's actually his natural position. That's where he played in college at Long Beach State. But 1 away. And here is Wilmer Flores, who singled in a run in that 6-run 7th inning for the Mets. 7-7. And the first pitch to Wilmer. Fastball is high, 1-0. This is Papelbon's 15th appearance with Washington. He's won once and saved 6 games. 29 saves in all for the former Philly and Red Sox. The 1-0 pitch. Flores takes a called strike, the fastball, and it's 1-1. Pitcher spot is due up next. Kirk Neuenhuis has come out on deck. And the Mets have Tyler Clippard throwing in the bullpen. But the Nationals now looking for 2 innings out of Papelbon in a game that they are desperate to win. The 1-1. Check swing, little pop-up foul over by the first base dugout. It falls untouched. Simply no time for either Ramos, the catcher, or Robinson, the first baseman, to get there. And the count to Flores now 1-2. I mean, this game was kind of must-win, desperate. All of those words we're also familiar with for the Nationals when it started. But now, after seeing a 7-1 lead slip away, well, it's taken on a whole new dimension of desperation. And that's why Papelbon, who at times has not been used when a lot of people around here thought Matt Williams should have used him, is in fact in this game in the 8th inning. 1-2 the count. Outfield a step towards right. Now the pitch to Flores. Fastball fouled back to the screen. Protect your training or medical facility from MRSA and staff. Decide Ultra kills them in 1 minute or less. Go to PalmeroHealth.com to order. That's PalmeroHealth.com for your free sample of Decide Ultra Disinfectant. Escobar right on that line at third. Rendon, the second baseman, out just a couple of inches into short right field. Here's the 1-2 to Flores. Breaking ball pulled on the ground to third. Backing up is Escobar. He's got it. Sidearms to first in time. 2 away. So Papelbon restoring law and order for the Nationals has retired the first 2 here in the 8th inning. And now Kirk Neuenhuis will be the choice of Terry Collins to bat for Addison Reed. And your choices matter too. Drive responsibly. A reminder from the New York City Department of Transportation and the Vision Zero Initiative. So Neuenhuis batting .207 with 3 homers. They all came in 1 game. And 12 runs batted in. Going up against the veteran right-hander Jonathan Papelbon. Outfield very deep. Escobar off the line now at third. And the first pitch is a changeup taken outside for ball 1. Neuenhuis keep the inning going. Curtis Granderson, a left-hand hitter, is waiting on deck. 7-6-1 for the Mets. 7-10-0 for the Nationals. The 1-0 pitch. Hit in the air to deep right center. This baby's going. It is going. It is gone. Holy smokes. Kirk Neuenhuis has given the Mets the lead with a pinch hit home run into the seats in right center field beyond the 16-foot out-of-town scoreboard. This place is in shock. And frankly, so is this booth Although by now we shouldn't be. It is 8-7 New York. Oh, man, this is getting ridiculous.
Matt Harvey's in the receiving line. He is beyond off the hook now. There are other stories to be written now. Did you even remember Kirk Neuenhuis was on the team? There are 38 current New York Mets. He is one of the very back-enders. It's the second pinch hit home run all year for the New York Mets, and it's against Jonathan Papelbon.
Remember the Grimm brothers who wrote a whole bunch of fairy tales? Have they been signed by the New York Mets? This is just unbelievable. Here is Curtis Granderson. First pitch by Papelbon is high. 1 ball and no strikes. I tell you, I saw it all in 1969, and I'm not suggesting this season's going to end that way, but I've seen some stuff this year, this month, that's right out of the 69 playbook. The 1-0 to Granderson, taken on the inside corner for a called strike, 1-1.
So right down to the Cuban Clendenin. Yoenis Cespedes, a huge acquisition. He proves his worth again tonight.
The only thing missing is for Ron Swoboda to get here and hit a couple of homers off of Strasburg tomorrow. The 1-1 to Granderson, pulled weakly on the ground to second, scooped up by Rendon, throws to first in time, side retired. So in the chapter known as the 8th inning, the Mets score 1 run on 1 hit, the pinch hit homer by Neuenhuis, no errors, nobody left, and in the bottom of the 8th inning, it's on the way. The Mets 8, the Nationals 7 will stay on to play left field. Michael Conforto comes out, and Tyler Clippard will come into the game. And we were talking before about, well, things that the Washington Nationals could conceivably take or have taken as bulletin board material. Well, Clippard, a former National who came to the Mets from the Oakland A's, said when he first came to the Mets that, hey, the Nationals are beatable. And he kind of challenged them right from the get-go. And now he's going to face them here with the Mets holding the lead, and Clippard, who was just incensed at himself for floating a changeup that Justin Bour hit for a big home run against him in Miami on Sunday. Well, now Clippard will work here in the bottom of the 8th inning, facing Wilson Ramos to lead off. Clippard, the 4th Mets pitcher. The first pitch, changeup. It is over for a called strike, 0-1. Well, the sweet play of the game is brought to you by Domino Sugar, a real way to do sweet. Visit dominosugar.com for recipes and coupons today. Duh. Right now, it's the home run by Neuenhuis. Check with us later. It could be something else. Now the 0-1. Check swing roller foul back behind the plate. 0-2.
Neuenhuis, Howie, had only 3 big league at-bats since July 29th. And remember the context here. He was sold to the Angels and then given back. Basically, the Angels said, well, keep the money. We don't need him. Just here, take your player back. Biggest hit of the night in the biggest game of the year.
So Clippard with the 0-2, and it's popped up foul. That'll reach the seats outside first due to over for a look, but it's a few rows back.
So Neuenhuis up and down this year and trading organizations back and forth coast to coast. Mets to the Angels, up and down there, AAA. A lot of time in AAA with the Mets this year. And, you know, they break glass in case of emergency, basically. Run him into this game and he homers.
By the way, I'm shaking my head because speech is getting harder and harder to come by.
No, I'm kind of in tongues myself right now.
Here's the 0-2 to Ramos, and it's a little bit inside, I believe, although Clippard doesn't see it that way. A changeup, and Clippard just came off the mound on the first base side a little bit. Not in agreement. Again, it's hard for us to get a great view from where we are. We're so high up and so far back and off to the right just a bit, but there have been a lot of people unhappy with Dana DeMuth. 1-2 pitch, fastball hit high in the air to straightaway center, deep, playable. Cespedes under it, makes the catch, 1 out.
Ooh, that snatch catch out there will get your heart pumping a little bit. Remember, Yoenis had a ball skip by him on the ground tonight. 3 runs came home, but then he got him right back when he doubled down the line. That inning, Howie, where the Mets scored the 6 runs, that was one of 2 hits That one by Cespedes. There were 6 walks in that inning from the bullpen.
Couple with the bases loaded. Flores singled in a run. And now here's Michael Taylor, who has walked and scored. Tapped in front of the plate and then hit the single, which eventually became, as I saw on Twitter, a Little League home run. Overrun by Cespedes. First pitch, swung on and missed a changeup. 0-1. Now remember, the pitcher's spot is no longer 9th, so it's Danny Espinosa who is on deck. David Wright guarding the line at third. Mets bullpen is quiet. Outfield straight away against the right-hand hitter. Now Clippard with an 0-1 pitch. Now the changeup, it's high. 1 ball and 1 strike.
You know what just dawned on me right now, Howie, is that all 6 of those walks in the 7th inning were with 2 out and a 7-1 lead.
It's a remarkable juxtaposition, particularly when you consider the preseason prognostications. 1-1 to Taylor. Swung on and missed. A fastball there. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Oh, people considered the Mets a possibility for postseason play, but they had largely been assigned wild card contention with the division by just about everyone given to the Nationals. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Swung on and missed. Strike 3. Got him with a fastball. 2 men away. And now Danny Espinosa will be the batter. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by RE/MAX. RE/MAX agents are trained to help you find the perfect fit wherever you go or wherever you're heading, locally or globally. Go to RE/MAX.com to find an agent for all the things that move you. Each office independently owned and operated.
To your point, Howie, all the talk seemed to be the Mets and the Marlins battling for who could be the wild card. Well, the Mets are 20 games ahead of the Marlins right now.
That's an interesting thing to remember, too. The Marlins were kind of a sexy pick before the season. Well, now here is Espinosa, and he can be dangerous. First pitch, fastball over for a called strike 1. Espinosa, switch hitter, batting left, hitting .246. He has 13 homers, 37 RBIs. He's played a lot this year with the various injuries that the Nationals have had. Feet close together at the back of the batter's box. Clippard with an 0-1, and that floats low. 1 ball and 1 strike. Jason Worth, the on-deck batter. It's funny, you hear the organist a lot more and with a lot more clarity than we did about an hour ago.
That's a great point. Well, Bryce Harper got his wish. The fans were sticking around tonight. They're just not real happy.
1-1 to Espinosa. 2 out. Bottom of the 8th. 8-7 Mets. The 1-1 pitch. High. A changeup. 2 balls and 1 strike on Espinosa. That Long Beach State program that he's from is a real good one, and they've produced a lot of good major league infielders, even if they aren't shortstops at the moment. Troy Tulowitzki, the gold standard as far as shortstops. He stayed at the position, but Evan Longoria played shortstop there too. Of course, he's a longtime third baseman for the Tampa Bay Rays. Here's the 2-1 pitch to Espinosa. Swung on and missed a fastball. It's 2-2. So Espinosa will leave the batter's box and work on his batting gloves. Clippard just waiting for him behind the pitching rubber. Now Espinosa settling back in. 2-2 the count. Clippard kicks and deals. Swung on and missed. Strike 3. Threw a fastball by him. Side retired. Nothing across in the 8th. We go to the 9th inning. It's the Mets 8, the Nationals 7 on the WOR Mets Radio Network, driven by your Tri-Honda dealers. 7. Yoenis Cespedes leads off the top of the 9th against Jonathan Papelbon. And the first pitch to Cespedes. Popped up, foul, behind home plate. Looks like it's playable for Ramos, and he makes the catch right in front of the dugout at the edge of the on-deck circle. Just to the right of that on-deck circle at the Washington dugout. So 1 pitch, 1 out, and Daniel Murphy will be the batter. The Mets trailed in this game 7-1. They tied it with 6 runs in the 7th inning, and then Kurt Neuenhuis hit a 2-out pinch hit home run against Papelbon in the 8th. But the Nationals will have the top of their order up in the bottom of the 9th inning, and Jeurys Familia is getting ready in the bullpen. It'll be Worth, Rendon, and Harper. And so here is Daniel Murphy, who is 0 for 3 with a walk. Escobar off the line at third. And Papelbon's first pitch. Fastball for a called strike. 0-1. The ninth inning is presented by Buffalo Wild Wings. Take a time out from the endless inbox and make lunch hour the best hour at B-Dubs. Go to BuffaloWildWings.com to find your nearest location. Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports. 0-1 to Murphy. Here's the pitch. Breaking ball taken low. 1-1 with David Wright waiting on deck. Paid crowd tonight, 27,507. For a while, it sounded like more than that. A lot more. The 1-1, swing and a miss at a breaking ball, 1-2.
When that Red River starts to roll again at Howie down a half street, Nationals fans are starting to leave wearing their red. It's an 8-7 game in the ninth.
Well, I know people have work and school tomorrow, but that's crazy.
Bryce Harper better not look that way. His head might explode.
1-2, the count to Murphy. Papelbon to the belt. Here's the pitch. Lays off a fastball high and away. 2-2. Out of town scores brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Take advantage of exceptional lease and finance offers on select 2015 models. Visit MBUSA.com today. 2-2 to Murphy. Papelbon sets. Here's the pitch. Swing on a liner back to the mound off the glove of Papelbon. He picks it up in front of the mound and throws to first in time to get Murphy 2 away. Murph just can't go full out because of that strained quad. And although he made good contact, 2 out, nobody on. David Wright coming up. The Orioles defeated the Yankees 2-1. Chris Davis hit his 41st homer in the top of the ninth inning off of Chase and Shreve. And Toronto and Boston are 1-1 as they go to the 10th inning in Boston. So here's David Wright, who homered in the second inning, and don't minimize the impact of that either, even though a lot has gone on since then. Washington had taken a 2-0 lead in the first against Matt Harvey. First pitch to David, taken for a called strike, a fastball, 0-1. But Wright restored a little equilibrium by leading off the second with a home run. Although eventually it became 7-1 Washington, but the Mets have fought back. 8-7, 2 out here in the ninth inning. The 0-1. Line towards right, slicing, foul ball. Just barely foul. Reaching over by the jutting stands. A fan picks it up, and it's 0-2 to David Wright. So Familia getting ready in the bullpen. And the crowd not as responsive to the noise meter on the video board as they were earlier.
No, not after the Mets have scored 7 unanswered runs in the last 2 innings.
Lucas Duda waiting on deck. He was part of the parade of walks in that 6-run 7th inning, as was David. 0-2. Papelbon delivers to Wright. Swung on and missed, strike 3. Got him with a breaking ball. Side retired. Nothing across. Middle of the ninth inning. It's the Mets 8, the Nationals 7 on the WOR Mets Radio Network, driven by your Tri-Honda dealers. And so it may well be that Tejada hits in what was Clifford's spot and Familia hits in Flores' spot. But in any event, it is Familia who will try to close it out after saving yesterday's game. Familia, third in the league with 37 saves, will face the top of the Washington batting order, starting with Jason Worth, who is 1 for 4. Tyler Clippard worked a perfect 8th inning, striking out 2. And now Familia, the 5th pitcher used in the game by the Mets. He had not pitched in a week until yesterday. There did not appear to be a whole lot of rust. So ready to go against Jason Worth. Familia sets. Right-hand batter, first pitch. Fastball in for a called strike at 97. It's 0-1. According to the scoreboard, for what it's worth, the changes are straight up, meaning Tejada, Betts, and Flores spot. The 0-1, swing and a miss by Worth. At a slider, and the count 0-2. So now Worth goes for a little stroll outside the batter's box. For Familia, his 65th appearance. He's 2-1 with a 1.76 earned run average. And Dana DeMuth giving Worth a lot of time. He gets back in. Familia bends in to get the sign from Darno. Here's the pitch. Swing and a liner towards center. A base hit for Worth on an 0-2 pitch. It looked like the split. Worth takes a big turn at first, claps his hands vigorously as he holds on with a leadoff single.
That's what he did yesterday. Down 0-2. Punched one to the outfield. He went down to get that one, Howie. His knees were bent almost on the ground.
So that will bring up the number 2 hitter, Anthony Rendon. Now, what do you do here? Do you bunt Rendon?
Well, if you do that, the Mets would have the potential to just pitch carefully to, if not around, Bryce Harper. I think they want Harper up there with a chance to win this game.
So Familia comes set. His first pitch, Rendon squares. Might have been hit by the pitch. It bears in on him, or it might have hit his bat. What's the call? Looks like it hit his bat. If it hit anything, maybe the glove of Darno. They're putting a strike up on the board. Yep, it hit his bat.
Barely. That was too close for comfort right there. Familia trying to back him off, but Rendon basically got the bat in there as a defense shield. Had he put the bat down, it would have grazed his jersey. It would have been 2 on, nobody out.
So you're trying to get that hitter to pop the ball up. But Rendon just got a piece of it, shooting it straight down. Now the Nationals fans making noise on their feet. Worth a short lead at first, now stretches it out a bit due to holding. Wright charging from third. The 0-1, Rendon pulls it back and takes low outside for ball 1. Rendon has singled twice, grounded to second, and struck out. Remember, Tejada now the shortstop with Murphy the second baseman. So Wilmer Flores is out of the game. Familia leaning in. Checking in with Darno. Wright will creep in from third. Rendon squares. Here's the 1-1. Up and in, ball 2 again. Rendon just gets out of the way. And Familia trying to bust Rendon to make him pop the bunt up. But he's behind in the count now. Rendon taking a long look down at the third base coach, Bob Henley. The second baseman, Murphy, shading towards the bag. It's a right-hand hitter in the box. Murphy and Tejada at double play depth. The outfield straight away. 2-1 to Rendon. Familia sets. Rendon squares. Here's the pitch. Fastball outside, ball 3. So 3-0 to Rendon with Harper on deck.
Harper, by the way, 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts against Familia. But remember, Familia pitching a second straight game. Maybe a little bit too much adrenaline right now. Oh, they let Rendon swing away 3-1.
Familia checks Worth at first. 3-1 to Rendon. Wright creeping in. Here's the pitch. Bunted hard up the first base line. Duda's got it. He throws to second. Out there! They get the force play. No return throw by Tejada. 1 man out.
I'm stunned that they bunted 3-1. Harper 0 for 5, 5 strikeouts against Familia. Will have to do a lot of work now. And the way that Rendon's been swinging the bat, Howie, he's up 3-1. This guy's a .444 hitter in the last 2 weeks. He's in a fastball count, and they're asking him to bunt, not something he does very often or apparently very well.
So now it is Harper who is 0 for 4. And he is looking to change his image with the hometown fans after criticizing them yesterday. Left-hand batter, enormous power, the league's leading hitter. Familia sets. Now it's Rendon at first with 1 out. The pitch, fastball chopped towards first, foul ball. 0-1, a 98-mile-an-hour fastball.
not to kill Matt Williams, but I can kind of get my hands around it if it's early in the count to bunt him along. You're up 3-1. That guy's driving the ball the way he's driving it. I can't believe he was bunting.
I don't disagree with you at all. But Familia now working on Harper. Right is way off the line at third. The outfield straight away. Tejada shades towards the bag at second. 0-1 the count. Familia ready. Here's the pitch. Low inside. A fastball at 98. 1-1.
You've also got Familia not really hammering the strike zone yet either. Just another element to consider from a moment ago.
Now Familia comes set. Holds the set at the letters. Here's the pitch. Swung on and missed. That's the split. And the count 1-2 to Harper. Straight downward action at 94. Pitch that a lot of hitters are seeing for the first time as he's only recently incorporated it. Right. Deeper at third now. Still off the line. 1-2 the count to Harper. 8-7 Mets. 1 out. Rendon at first. We're in the bottom of the ninth. The 1-2 pitch in the dirt. Nice block by d'Arnaud of a 96-mile-an-hour fastball on the count. 2-2. Tom Familia takes the cap off and uses his left arm to wipe some sweat off of his forehead. Now gets back up onto the rubber. Generally, he barely does even that, meaning taking time to do anything but climb right back up. He's staring into d'Arnaud. 2-2, the count to Harper. Rendon leads from first. Familia sets. Here's the pitch. Little bit low. They want to check the swing at third. Dana DeMuth does, but Paul Nart says no swing. It's 3-2. Well, I guess it's hard to run Rendon here, considering the strikeout possibility. Harper has hit it on the ground twice tonight.
They did a nice job laying off the split right there. Would Familia come back with that, or does he just want to blow him away with some high heat?
Well, Familia studies the possibilities now as he sweeps a little dirt away from the rubber. It's the sign from d'Arnaud. Rendon leads from first with 1 out. 3-2 the count to Harper. Rendon does not go, and the pitch is inside, ball 4. The tying run goes down to second. The winning run is on at first, and Yunel Escobar will be the batter. Although he has been an enormously hot hitter recently. Coming into this game, .439 average in his last 11 games. He's 3 for 4 today. One thing that you have to consider, he has grounded into 19 double plays this year, tied for second most in the league.
He's another guy that's never had a hit against Familia. 0 for 5 with a couple of strikeouts. Well, the walks are piling up for both these teams late. Didn't happen for Harvey, didn't happen for Zimmerman. The two starters were fine, and they were working quickly. The bullpens have been rickety.
Now Familia trying to apply a little oil and find his way through. Mets 8, Nationals 7. 1 out, last of the ninth. Rendon at second. Harper, who can be a wild stallion on the bases at first. The outfield straight away. Right is set back at third. The middle infield a double play depth. Familia's first pitch. Swing and a miss. A fastball in at 96. And the count 0-1. So Escobar takes a little time outside the batter's box. Dana DeMuth being liberal with a lot of the hitters in that department tonight. Familia now staring at d'Arnaud. Tejada trying to keep Rendon close at second. Harper's at first. 1 out. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Escobar chops it foul back to the screen. 98-mile-an-hour fastball, and the count 0-2. So Escobar will go for a little stroll. Familia steps to the back of the mound, knocks a little dirt out of his spikes with a scraper. Goes to the grass area momentarily at the back of the mound and now heads back to his office. Rests the glove against his chest as he finds his grip. 0-2, the count to Escobar. Runners lead second and first with one out. Familia checks the runners. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Swinging a chopper to third. Wright gets a big hop. Plays it to second one. Murphy to first. Double play. Put it in the books. In what has been to this point a fairy tale season filled with improbable comebacks, the New York Mets might have just pulled off the granddaddy of them all. They were trailing 7-1 going to the seventh inning. They scored 6 runs to tie the game. And in the eighth inning with 2 out, nobody on, and the Nationals desperate for a win, they had their closer, Jonathan Papelbon, in the game. Kurt Neuenhuis hit a pinch hit home run. It stands as the game winner. And the New York Mets have taken the first 2 games of this 3-game series and opened up a 6-game lead over the Nationals in the National League East. Send in your superlatives to @MetsBooth, because we're out of them up here. In the 9th inning for the Nationals, no runs, 1 hit, no errors, 1 left. Familia got Escobar to ground into his 20th double play of the year, and the Mets get out of here with maybe their unlikeliest and biggest win of the year on a night when Matt Harvey gave up 7 runs. The final score, the New York Mets 8 and the Washington Nationals 7.